percent of war in my breath. You a man, I'm a spirit, I never saw death. I was cast and bound to a Sumerian test. Hell is not a place of rest. I made a sign to arise from the west. I'm quick to leave you wet, not a threat. I'll protect your arms and skin off your flesh. I will take your soul to the land of the dead. You never been the best, my samurai sword to take off your head. I'm possessed, so my eyes are red. I died in return, I was fried and bent. Nigga, I never had loved ones and friends. I have stains of blood on my hands. I can't be tricked by the mind of man. When I'm seeing it's too late to walk around. Face me like a man, I just a plan. I walk upon the face of the earth with an immaculate strength. At 5%, a real God, I don't pretend. I'm here to take the lives of men. I'm trying to get over the twists and turns. Sit back and allow the weed to bend. Highly inflammable when I grab books to land. I have the strength of 1,000 men. A convicts making an escape plan. I made a hound out in hell. When I attack, I can't lift the tail. I will bell to my enemies drop and fail. I know the numerous ways to kill. I use the blood of man to galvanize my steel. I destroy, execute, and build. Operates like a magnetic field. I existed by my own power and will. This my sword man's kill. I still have an appetite to kill. The architect is here to build. Life's a battlefield. I only have a sword and a shield. No commerce, my life is real. You still exist by the Lord's will. You a bitch, fuck how you feel. You lyrically ill. Get in a sick bed and take some pills. Down, motherfucker, and gotta get healed. Swift, cause I train my hands. I'm a god from a divine descent. By the virus that can't prevent. My nigga life's an infinite land. I move like a spirit, I'm hard to sense. My hand blows are swift cause I train my hands. I'm God from a divine descent. By the virus that can't prevent. My nigga life's an infinite lens. I move like a spirit, I'm hard to sense. The bitter side of life is why I tested. I'm a proof to show God existed. I'm the one that prophesied and predicted. My mom said I'm gifted, young, black and twisted. Every time I stress I paint pictures. Meditate and write scriptures. Control the mic like electronic resistors. Get crazy behind bars like being wrongfully convicted. Lyrically I can't be resisted. I'm the new antidote for the sickness. I'm the greatest and the Lord is my witness. I told my eyewitness to mind his business. Fake niggas have to keep a distance. I went to the street for a real reason. Fuck around, I'll make your mom start grieving. Take away the fucking air you're breathing. The preacher told me my sins can't be forgiven. The God is scientifically proven to stick everything moving. Blows are swift cause I train my hands. I'm a god from a divine descent. By the virus that can't prevent. My nigga life's an infinite land. I move like a spirit, I'm hard to sense. Hard to sense, nigga. Mom to God. Mom to God. Mom to God.
Yeah. Welcome to Herm Radio, man. Welcome to Herm Radio. Very, very special episode we got today. We got a very special guest, man. By the way, that song that you just heard was Mob the God. It's called Hand Blocks. It's actually unreleased joint. Definitely go check out Mob the God. You can find him on SoundCloud. He's gonna be on here next week talking about some music he got coming out. Mob the God, Hand Blocks. But today, man, we got a very special guest. He goes by the name Ifakunle. He's a spiritual practitioner of many different ways. I came across his teachings, his videos that he does, and different practices he does. I just came across it on Facebook, and I was really taken aback by the knowledge and the information that he's sharing with people, the fortitude, the stoicism that he carries himself with from everything that I see, and just really the great information. And I was really excited to have him here on Herm Radio. What's up, Ifakunle? How's everything?
Everything is good, my brother. How are things with you?
I'm doing all right. All things considered, blessed.
Yeah. Me too. I'm just grateful to be here, like with you, with your audience, man. Like I'm really honored, heart filled with gratitude to be here with you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, same thing, man. And I can't wait to hear like everything that we're able to go over today. So I want to ask you, so what is your name? What is the origin of your name? And if you could tell us just a basic intro of what you do and who you are.
Okay, well, the origin of my name, Ifakunle, on my journey, where I'm at on my journey, I'm studying a spiritual system known as Ifa, like some might know it as Yoruba. It's a spiritual system that originated out of Africa, and it was able to stay intact through the journey of the transatlantic slave trade and all of that. Like this was one of I think the only spiritual system that was able to stay intact by being hidden under the practice of Christianity. It was hidden under that, like they were still able to practice that, like under the disguise of Christianity. But it's one of the most purest spiritual systems that are still being practiced. And so within that, you have what is known as a Iya and a Babalawo, and they do a divination for you concerning what your name would be, like what spirit say your name would be. And the name that came up for me was Ifakunle, which only means that I'm here for the family, that I'm here for humanity. And so that's what that name means. Ifakunle means the family. So I'm here for not just myself, but to serve others. You know what I'm saying? So that's what the name pretty much sums up to me. Ifakunle. I'm here for the family.
Okay, so this was a name that was given to you, and through this practice. So a lot of people don't know. Before Christianity, there was actually a lot of religions, a lot of practices,
Yes.
a lot of ways of connecting with God, connecting with the nature
Yeah.
around you. So you said
Yeah.
that this is actually some spiritual practice that was around before Christianity that actually was disguised as Christianity or used.
Yeah.
Can I
Yeah.
ask you why that is? Why did it have to be disguised as Christianity, and like how does that work?
Okay, the reason why it had to be disguised as Christianity is because the people wasn't able to openly practice it because of Christianity being forced on people. So it couldn't be openly practiced. You would be condemned for that, for trying to practice anything other than Christianity. So what happened is that they took different names, like of Christian archangels and different ways that Christians and worship, and like deities that they worship, and they took those names, but they applied these names to their original to the deities and the deities and the gods that they would call on, but they disguised them under the angels and different, like the archangels and different things that will be called on under Christianity. So, for instance, like Michael, or Mikael, however you want to pronounce that. In the Ifa tradition, that would be known as Ogun, but we couldn't call on Ogun, but Mikael was given the same traits as what an Ogun would be given. So instead of calling on Ogun, we would call on Michael. You know what I'm saying? Now we would know what that we was calling on Ogun, but not call on that name because we couldn't call on that name. So we would call on Michael, but we knew within ourselves the energy that we was calling on, because it's all energy at the end of the day. So we knew what energy we was calling on, so we was able to disguise most of our deities and gods that we were calling on within this system under the names that Christianity gave to us. And so that's kind of how that went.
Okay.
That's kind of how that went. Yeah.
And so, and if I'm not mistaken, this is a widely, like all across the world, this is something that's practiced and widely used.
Yes. Like, and the reason why it's practiced so much because of it being so original, like, and it's still practiced in its purest form, like the same way it was practiced then, it's still being practiced now. It hasn't been tainted, and that's the problem with a lot of different spiritual systems, is that they have been tainted. Like even when you consider Christianity, Jesus and that whole concept, Jesus is the 16th crucified Savior. The 16th. So it was crucified saviors. It was many crucified saviors before Jesus.
Yeah.
Okay, but yeah, and so it hasn't been tainted. Like nothing has been changed about it. Like it's in its purest form. The same way it was practiced historically is the same way it's practiced now. So it gives us that connection to something original, something that we can say is is of our culture that hasn't been tampered with or anything like that. And so that's what. Yeah, and like this is the reason why, like you see a lot of people like returning to it, to have that purity of practice that we lost, considering that our culture was taken away. Like one thing that happened was our culture was taken away. So this is like, something that connects us back to our history and to our roots and the ways that we practice historically.
So let me ask you. So a lot of people that I know, I myself, I was born grew up from Christian parents, you know what I mean? Brought
Just
up
like
in a church. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm saying just like most of us, I was born up that way too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So like a lot of us was growing up in Christian parents. Me myself, it was never anything I chose, and I kind of fell out of it really, really quickly. But a lot of us never knew of any type of belief system coming from Africa, coming from South America. You know what I mean? Like coming from slavery. like we didn't know of anything before that because a lot was cut off at that point.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like, I wonder, and I want to know your opinion. Do you feel like the imposition of Christianity on people, and basically other religious doctrines on people, is a bad thing or a good thing? Do you
Well,
think
the
it's
reason
took
why
away?
the reason why I consider it a bad thing, in my opinion, because in Christianity, things are being made and taught as literal instead of being like symbolical. You know what I mean? Like we understood, like me, I understand like the story of Jesus and the whole story that comes with the Christian belief is just that. It's a story that is meant to be read and for us to extract the knowledge and the wisdom out of the story. You know what I'm saying? And so like I think that's one way that it has affected us in a negative way. Like people are taking a story literal that's not meant to be taken literal. Like these are like the story of Jesus and any historical spiritual system that we can learn about is only talking about this universe around us, like the forces of nature around us to put us in this reality instead of waiting on a reality to come. Like we can truly see that we already exist in the kingdom of God, and we can see the forces and we can see God all around us instead of waiting for some God to be revealed that has been with us all the time. You know what I'm saying? So it can place us here in the present moment. And that's one of the issues is that most people are not in the present moment because they are expecting something to come and not understanding it's already here. It's already here in us. It's already here in this nature around us, in this universe around us. We just have to tap into it and become that which we are seeking. Like Christianity, in my opinion, have us seeking something to find something that we already are. And so it's more about an awakening that needs to happen in us. It's not waiting for something to come. It's an awakening that needs to happen in each individual. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so, like, I think that's one way that Christianity, in my opinion, has affected humanity, like, in a negative way because it keeps us waiting for a savior instead of becoming our own saviors and becoming saviors for one another. Like, we're here to save ourselves. Like, we're not here to wait for anyone to come to save us. And of course, this is all my belief system. I'm not trying to, like, force. I hope I'm not offending anyone or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? But in my belief and the way I see things, I'm my own savior. I'm not waiting for a savior to come. Like, I have everything that I need right here and like in the present moment to be who it is that I'm supposed to be. Like, I don't have to wait for anyone to do that for me. You know what I mean? And I think that's one way that Christianity has kind of affected us in a negative way because we're not taking responsibility for the changes that we can make. We're waiting for someone else to come and do it for us instead of for us taking that responsibility upon ourselves.
Yeah, and I agree with that. And I agree with you also. Like, I don't want to say anything or come off any type of way to talk down on a group of people, but it's like I wonder too, like the mentality, the sheep to be the sheep, to be herded like the sheep. Takes kind of takes the responsibility away. Now I'm not talking about the doctrine. I'm talking about the incorporation of the doctrine. So you're talking about really the God within, finding the God within yourself, finding the spiritual divinity within yourself, right? And so there's some people that think of Christ and they think when the Christ comes back and they talk about in the Bible Christ coming back, they think it's like a person, you know what I mean? Everybody will go to him and it's something we can have a conversation with him. Other people believe in something called a Christ consciousness. Yeah. Like and that's something that's attainable by theoretically any man or woman. And that's something, and then that brings me to like Armageddon. Like, I'm not somebody that was really into the Bible, but other people actually kind of put the Bible, put different scriptures in my face. Like, yo, look at this. This is what's going on. And it's like they talk about Armageddon. I read a scripture actually, like I think last night that was talking about. I think it was the words of Jesus was talking about. Like, listen, you think this is about to be a battle of fists and nah, it's not going to be. It's going to be a battle of the internal. It's going to be a battle of mother to daughter inside the household, all that type of stuff. And it's like it's going to be a battle inside of your own mind. So would not, on the flip side, the enlightenment and the divination be inside of your own mind? So that's very interesting because a lot of people of Christian faith, of different faiths, seem to consider themselves and say that they're practitioners of Christianity and holy people and such things, but they don't necessarily embody that. They don't embody those principles. And I feel like the disconnect does come from some of those ideologies of thinking it's without as opposed to within. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, the Bible even states that it's a scripture in the Bible to say that the kingdom of God is not going to come with signs and wonders that we need to look for. You know what I mean? To happen outside of ourselves. It says, "Know that the kingdom of God is within you." Like everything exists within us. Like the ancient Kemetic, a lot of historical indigenous cultures would say, "As above, so below; as within, so without." You know what I mean? So things happen inside of us, and they will are projected outwardly. Like this whole universe that we see around us is only a projection of what's inside of us. So the return of a Savior, Jesus, or any other Savior that you can name, is something that happens inside of us as individuals. It's not for nothing. It's not something that we're supposed to be looking to happen out there. You know what I mean? It's something that is supposed to happen in each one of us as, like I say, individuals. The kingdom of God is within us, just like the Bible states. And just about any indigenous or historical spiritual system is gonna relay that to you in story form. But we're supposed to be able to get that message from the story. Like this is all taking place inside of us. The return, the awakening is happening inside of all of us. It's not nothing that we're supposed to be waiting for to come, like something that is to come, a kingdom to come. Like it's here already. Like it's here already inside of each one of us. And so like this is what's supposed to happen in us. An awakening, like of the sleeping God, or so an awakening of the God that we are waiting to return inside of our own self, because we understand that we are the temple of God. Like that's one thing that the Bible ingrains in us. So we are the temple of God. We are the temple of God. So if we're waiting on God to return, where is that going to happen at? It's going to happen inside of us. That's where the return is going to happen at. And so like even when you look at the Bible and you're able to understand like where I see the Bible, like even the word, like the first chapter in the Bible, Genesis. If you take the S off, or the S in the like the S off of the word Genesis, you got the word gene or genetics, from Genesis to Revelation. That which, so when you put those two together, what that means to me is that which will be revealed inside of you. That which will be revealed inside of you. This is what the Bible is trying to explain, and like the sleeping God, or the God that will be revealed inside of each one of us. And so that's what I believe that is happening here on earth. You know what I mean? And what these spiritual systems are trying to get us to understand. Like we are the temple of God. God has fell asleep in us. We have to awaken that God within our own being. Where else does God exist at other than inside of us? We live and exist and have this vitality in our being because of this force that they call God. So we don't have to seek anything else other than ourselves to find that presence and to awaken that presence within our own being. So God can return to its kingdom. So God can enjoy its kingdom that it created for itself to enjoy. But we have to wake up. We have to allow that God to awaken up within our own being. Its creation, to experience its creation in the many ways that it wants to experience it. Like man is just God's greatest creation, but God is experiencing its kingdom as the bird, as the dog, as the cat, as anything that you can see here is just an experience that the creator of all things wanted to have. Us as men and women is the greatest experience. God said within man and woman, I'm going to be able to experience myself in the fullness of myself, like in my fullness. And so it's an awakening that has to happen, not a waiting that has to happen, but an awakening that has to happen within all of us, my brother.
Absolutely.
In my humble opinion.
Absolutely, and I agree with that. And that reminds, like, there's a philosophy or like an ideology that the universe itself, like you talked about, is like windows. Everything is a window, a mirror of the one house. You know what I mean? Like the one spirit, the one entity that we're all part of. And in that same sense, completely that, like in each individual particle is all. But I also, like, there's a way of explaining it, that it's like there's a gray person, and he's in a gray room, like he's completely gray, everything's gray, and so he can't differentiate himself from anything. He is all.
He is all.
Once he walks into the black room or the white room, he sees himself, and he sees himself in contrast to this thing, and it's that in that experience is the harshness is the beauty, is everything that is life. You know what I mean? It's like just that experience. It's kind of, for me, kind of explains life. It's like why this, why the good, why the bad, why the in between. It's because it's all part of experience, and experience is a growing thing. It's expansion.
This is all experience. Like, that's the only thing that's happening here is the creator, like you just explained it, is experiencing itself as all things. It's not just experiencing itself as me. It's experiencing itself as you. It's not just experiencing itself as a man or a woman. It's experiencing itself as a tree, as a flower. Like, it's experiencing itself as all things. Like, life is only experience, the experience that the creator or this because we are all human beings, or like we are all spiritual beings having a human experience. So these are all experiences that spirit is having here. So these are just experiences that we are having. So the problem that it is, how you just said, is that we separate ourselves because we identify ourselves as what we are created. Like I identify myself as a man. Like most people identify themselves by the creation that they are experiencing right now because they identify themselves from that level. But if we can see ourselves as spirit first, like it's stated, we are spiritual beings having a human experience, then we can see ourselves as all things because we see spirit in all things. But people are living backwards. Like people are identifying themselves as like the body first. So that creates like a separation between people. I'm this and you are that. But whenever we're able to experience and know ourselves as spirits first, then I can see myself as you, brother. I can see myself as everything that I see. I can see the oneness of all of creation, and I can see the many different experiences that spirit is having. And so that makes me understand further, like, yo, this is only an experience of spirit that we are having right now. So at the core of everyone and everything is a oneness that we all have to seek. And this is the love that we're supposed to be walking in the kingdom of God for one another, or this creation. It should be a love, because when I see you, I should see myself, a different aspect of who it is that I am. I should love you. I should love you. I shouldn't see you as something other than me. I should just see you as a different expression of myself. I should love the animals that I see. I should love the birds that I see, because this is only a different expression of myself when I identify myself as that indwelling spirit that is having these different experiences. You know what I mean? Yeah, my brother.
Doesn't that make, if more people and if even everybody had an approach, a thought like that, wouldn't that be an amazing place to live?
Man,
you know
like
I
mean? It'll be a kingdom of love. It'll be a kingdom of harmony. It'll be a kingdom of peace and joy. You know what I'm saying? Like, it'll be all of those things. It's the fact that we don't identify ourselves from that level, that we have all the hate here and the jealousy and the like, you know what I mean? Like all the things that we see, the competition, people against one another, because we identify ourselves in this separateness. Like, this is you and this is me. Like, we are seeing life backwards. So everything that we see in this society as it relates to seeing life backwards, reverse all of that. Reverse all of that. Come to the other side of that when people are able to see the oneness that we truly share, instead of this competition and this hate and this jealousy. You know what I mean? Flip that to the other side where it can be love and it ain't no competition and things like that. Like, because we're seeing life like we're supposed to see it. We're seeing it the right way. Like, even in the word, and I know you know, like even in the word live, like whenever you live backwards, things become evil. And things are evil now because we're living backwards. Like, we're living our life as flesh first. You know what I'm saying? And most people don't even incorporate spirit in it. You know what I'm saying? But we identify and live our life from the spiritual beings that we are, and understand that whatever form and shape that we have taken is only an experience of spirit. Then we're able to see ourselves as, like, in one another, and this is what gives birth to like the love that we're supposed to be sharing here between each other. You know what I mean?
For a fact. Now, I want to ask you, I want to take a slight turn. I got a few questions. I got a bunch of questions I wrote down.
Okay, let's do it.
But before I even get to that, I want to ask you, kind of taking a slight turn. From everything I feel like, I don't know you personally. This is one of my first time sitting down having a conversation with you. But I see faith. I see faith and stoicism in like a person that's like, you've walked and you've seen like something that like makes it so you know where you're walking and you know where you're going. And me myself, I feel similar to that. Like, I feel like I feel my calling. But I want to
Yeah.
ask you, to the many people that I hear and I talk to that actually are not in a place where they can find their faith. They don't feel connected to God. They don't feel connected to a reason or a purpose. Um, Whether it's because they don't have some of this information, or even if they do have some of this information, but they're not understanding how to put this into practice in their actual life. What would you say to people that's kind of lost? How do they access this spiritual energy? How do they access their ancestors and heal themselves and kind of find their path in life? Like I feel like I'm talking to a person that is on his path. I feel like I'm on my path. But what about those that don't know what their path is? What is your advice to them?
I mean, I would start off like with like how I started off my journey. You know what I'm saying? It's just observing this universe and this nature around you. Like make yourself present in this moment. Like one of the first questions that everyone should ask is, who am I? How did I get here? You know what I mean? Like how is all of these how is all of this possible that I'm here with this nature, with this mother nature? I'm seeing what is called a sunrise, and you know I'm seeing a moon in the sky, stars. Like how did I get here? Like and all, like everything here is alive. Like what's animating and giving everything here is life. It's just starting off with being in the present moment of being here within this kingdom. Like this is a great mystery. Like this is what's supposed to take us on our journey. Like, yo, like how did I get here? You know what I mean? And that would take, like me, that took me back to be able to see myself as like a seed. Like just go back and see yourself as a seed in your mother's stomach, and then watch yourself develop. Like these things are very mysterious. You know what I mean? Like, yo, like what's behind all of this? I understand that I'm here. This is the effect. What is the cause of me being here? Like, and that takes you on a journey that's going to bring you, like when you take that journey, like many answers are going to be revealed to you. But the fact that we are here, bro, that should be mind blowing to anyone. Just stop and say that I am. I exist. Like, how is this possible? Where am I at? How did I get here? Like, you know what I mean? Like, this is a very mysterious thing that's going on that people are not really, it's like it's almost nothing to some people. You know what I mean? But if you can just stop and make it something for you, like, yo, like what's going on here? Like, what is this place? What is what is this universe that we exist in? Because these are the questions that we have to answer, and the reason why we have to answer these questions because we are here. Like nothing can take you from the fact that you exist on this earth right now. So we are here. I am. You know what I mean? How did I get here? Like, so a lot of questions are going to begin to arise in your mind if you can just stop, be still. You know what I mean? And understand that you exist, like things like that. I am here on this earth, within this universe, within this galaxy. And that's real, right? Because you can't say that you are not here. Like no one can say they ain't here. Like we have to deal with this. And it takes you on a journey. So just begin that journey of seeking the answers of how this is possible. You know what I mean? Like what gives life to this planet? Because we know it's a life force here because everything here lives. So it's a spirit that's here that gives everything here life, and everything here shares in this spirit of life. But what is this spirit? What is the origin of these, of this spirit that's giving everything life here? And questions like that take you on a journey. Just ask the right questions. And on your journey, like I said earlier, it's an ancient proverb that says, when the student is ready, teachers will appear. Like you just have to begin your journey. That's it. With answering simple questions like how, what, when, where, like these questions. Because we are here, and that's one thing that we can't deny. It's not one thing. That's something that we can't try to talk our minds to think something else. We all exist here on this earth. This mother nature. We all are here. And so we have to answer these questions of what this is about and what is my purpose for being here. Because everything here has a purpose. The tree has a purpose. The bee has a purpose. Like the worm, like everything has a purpose. What is my purpose for being here? Because I can't deny the fact that I am here. And allow that to take you on your journey. And then, you know, like things will begin to be revealed to you. How the Bible put it, seek and you shall find, knocking the door shall open. You know what I mean? Things like that. So just beginning the journey of answering or seeking the answers to very simple questions, bro. You know what I mean? That's going to take you on your own personal journey. It's going to connect you with the people that are meant for you, the teachers that are meant for you, the information that is meant for you. The only thing that we have to do is start the journey of answering these questions. Because we have to answer these questions. Because we here, bro. We here. We got to deal with this. We are here. You know what I mean? Just like this earth, like everything that we see here growing, the trees and the flowers, these things began from a seed being planted in this earth. That's a great mystery because I know I began the same way. You begin the same way. So I see my connection with this great mother of this universe, and I know that the reason I exist, like I exist as a part of this, because everything is here, comes here, and exists in the same way. So I have to identify myself with where I'm at. You know what I mean? It connects me to where I'm at, and so like just begin the journey of answering simple questions. It's going to take you on a journey, and you'll find your path in that way.
I like that. I like that a lot. So, and that's an amazing quote. So because we asked how do you kind of get out of that feeling lost? How do you find your way? How to find your path?
Yeah.
You said simple questions. Start that journey of just answering those simple questions.
Simple questions, man. You know what I mean? And that's what they are like. But these are like life is a mystery, man. Like the only thing that we know, if we think, is that one day we was here. One day we was here. Like one day we realized we was here. You know what I'm saying? This is a mystery, bro. You know what I mean? Like it's like being like logging on to a computer. You know what I mean? Like one day, boom, we here. You know what I'm saying? But like it's a mystery. Like all of this is a mystery. The fact that it takes a man and a woman, like the way that like we come about, like all of this is a mystery, family. You know what I mean? Like what is that sun in the sky each day that shines down, and because it shines down, it gives everything life. Like we have to answer these questions because we are here. So just start off with that. You know what I mean? Like just everything about this creation around us, like everything about it is mysterious, man. You know what I mean? Because the only thing we know is one day we was here as a part of this. So that's why I say it's the simple questions. If we can just start off with the simple questions, it's going to take you on a journey, and then it's going to be more questions. As you begin the journey, like more questions are going to arise in your mind that you're going to seek the answers for. So it's just beginning the journey of answering your own questions, like of yourself, like of your own existence, like you know what I'm saying? Because, and like I say, that'll take you on a journey, and you know what I mean? And then as your journey moves forward, answers are gonna come, more questions are gonna come, and then you're gonna find yourself in a much more wiser, a much more enlightened place of who it is that you are and where it is that we exist at and what all of this means and the purpose for all of it. But we just have to begin and stop letting other people tell you. Like stop letting other people just tell you what's going on. Now take your own journey for yourself, for your own self, and stop just being guided like sheep, just allowing people to tell you anything. Like take your own journey, because we, like how they said, like we all have to stand before the Creator on our own. We're not going to be able to bring no one with us. So these are the questions that we have to answer for ourselves, so we know that we are on a personal journey. For ourselves, we was born alone, you know what I mean? And we're going to have to answer for our life by ourselves. And so we can't put that in nobody else's hands. It's a journey that we have to take as individuals of answering the questions of our purpose and our reason for being here.
Mm-hmm. And there's no question, if you put in your spiritual journey in the hands of somebody else, you're without a doubt going to be lost.
Yeah.
You're going to end up lost.
Yeah. I'm not saying that we don't supposed to have teachers and guides, but it's our own personal quest. It's our own personal quest. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
So like we all need teachers and we all need guides. Like I've had many like over my life, but I understand like this is my personal journey. Like this is my own quest. And these people are appearing in my life because of the journey that I'm taking for myself.
So
if that makes sense.
It definitely does. It definitely does. So moving forward, we talked a lot about life. A lot of us this year, you got the whole situation going on right now. Beyond that, a lot of us have lost a lot of people as of recently.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? A lot of people that mean a lot to us. I talked to a lot of people that lost people recently.
Me too.
And that respect, man. And
respect to you, brother.
Thank you. And so I find through spirituality and through spiritual understanding, I find a lot of peace. I find still communication. I find still closeness to some of these people. You know what I mean? what can you tell me about your belief and your understanding of like the realm of death, the realm of life after here,
Okay,
and so on?
I got you. Now, how I look at that is that, of course, nobody dies. People only transition. You know what I'm saying? There's no such thing as death. Like, we only transition. And how do we know that it's true? Because they tell us in science that we know that the body is made of atoms. Atoms are only energy. So we are here, and what energy can never be destroyed, it can only be transformed. So like we understand that. Like we was taught that in school. You know what I'm saying? And so that we know that we are here for a transformation. Like we are here for a transformation. And how I look at that is that, like I say, we started off as a seed and we went through that and we was babies and we can see ourselves evolving. We started off as infants, we became children, young adults, old people. Like we are heading somewhere. We're not heading to death. We're heading to a transformation because we know death is an illusion. Nothing dies. And how I look at that, our next experience that we have in life is according to the life that we live here. The life that we live here. And this is why they say heaven and hell is a mind state, because if we die in a hellish mind state or living a life of bringing hell into this reality, then we understand our next experience is going to be a reflection of the life that we live here. Like this is how this happens. You know what I'm saying? You reap what you sow. What goes around comes around. You know what I'm saying? So if you want to have a better, heavenly, more peaceful, loving experience in your next life, like in what's to come, then you have to live that now. You have to live that now. You know what I'm saying? So that's how I look at that, because we know that death ain't real. We're all heading somewhere for another experience. Like we would never, it would never be a time that we don't exist. Energy cannot be destroyed. Our souls, our spirits, this vitality that animates our body, this is all energy. Our very body is energy. You know what I'm saying? So it would never be a time that we won't exist. So what experience do you want to have next? Because the experience that you want to have next, you better start living that right now. You better start living that right now. You know what I mean? If you want to live, have an experience of love and peace, then you better have love and peace in your heart right now. You better show that to the people around you. Like, you better love your neighbor like you love yourself. Things like that. You know what I mean? You treat others like you want to be treated, because you are actually creating your next experience. If you want to be a person or like of hellish qualities, if you want to live your entire life like that, get ready to experience that in your next experience. You know what I'm saying? And so that's how I look at that. So I know the kind of experience that I want to have. Like, I want to have one of community. Like, I want to have one of people loving one another and being there for one another and joyful and abundance and having everything that they need. Like, so that's who I am now. Like, I strive to become more and more of that person every day. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what I want my next experience to be. So I live that now as much as I possibly can. You know what I mean? Because we're not going to be able to escape ourselves. There's nothing that you do that you're going to be able to get away with, even if it's apparent that you are getting away with it in this life. You're not going to get away with it. You know what I mean? So if you're putting energy out, then you best believe that energy is going to find you. And a lot of times it'll find you in the next life. It'll find you in the next life. Yeah. And so I want to put out a loving energy out here. You know what I'm saying? With the life that I live, because that's what I want to experience. And so that's how I look at that. Like, you reap what you sow. You reap what you sow. Mm-hmm. And so death, like I said, is an illusion. Nothing dies. We only transform. Like, we go from one experience to the next experience. We will always exist. But what will your next experience, what would that be like? What would that be like? But we have control over that. We have to understand how much control we have over what our next experience will be, according to the life that we live right now, according to the beings that we are in this moment, or according to the beings that we are striving to become. You're creating your next reality right now, bro. We all are. And that's why people come into different realities. Like, we came here like people at different levels of being and existence. Like, you have people that are completely lost right now. Yeah. Completely lost souls right now, and not even thinking about waking up in any kind of way. You know what I'm saying? Like, but you have people like us that come into this reality that's seeking something. You know what I mean? That's seeking it. Like how is that possible that we are born the way that we are born and other people are born the way that they are born? It's all related to the previous life that we just existed, that put us in a position in this life to be the people that we are. You know what I mean? To be in a more enlightened state of who we are. in this universe and what's going on, which puts us in a position to create a more beautiful experience in our next. If that makes sense to you.
It really does. And it also reminds me of we talked about people being lost or people being asleep. And like a lot of people that are lost, a lot of people that like they feel that there's an escape, or they feel that like there's not a calling, like they're not understanding the calling that's they're getting, and so it's kind of bringing them through the ringer. And they're looking at it like, a lot of people look at it like, yo, life hates me, or like there's no spiritual purpose to this, everything's bad. When they're not seeing that life is really kind of indifferent to the laws that exist. Like the laws that exist universally will be, you know what I mean? It's not gonna stop and be like, hey, let me adjust for you. And but ultimately, like, everybody like probably eventually gets it. Like when they say like nobody's condemned to like eternal damnation in the end, because everybody eventually is probably gonna reach their goal, right?
Yes, that's exactly how I feel. Like, because with like these are all experiences that the Creator is having. Like this one thing that we have to understand. Like, I don't care if it's the most worst person that you can think of. Eventually, that enlightenment is going to come, because we are all just expressions of the Creator. The Creator can't lose no aspects of itself. You know what I'm saying? And so this is why we have to keep coming back in this cycle until we get it right. Like, everybody is going to be given that opportunity to get it right, and you're going to experience certain levels of existence until you get it right. But eventually, everybody will, in my opinion, eventually get it right. But how long is it going to take you? How much suffering do you have to go through before you wake up? You know what I'm saying? And so that's how I look at that. Like, the Creator is everything, and it's having every experience. It's stories that say in the beginning was the great nothing. It's like the Bible put it as the great void. But a lot of traditions say that the Creator was bored. It was bored. It had nothing to do. It was alone. And so this is the reason why it manifested itself as all the many different things that we see and all the many different experiences that are being had here. But it's all still the Creator. It's all still the Creator, and everything will eventually make its way back to the Creator, because everything is the Creator. Nothing can escape that. So everybody is eventually going to have that awakening in their life. But how long is that going to take is the question. How much suffering do you have to go through is the question. You know what I'm saying? Before that realization, that self-realization happens for you. You know what I mean? And this is why I can say people like me and you and your audience, and different people that we know, we can see how far we are along on that journey of awakening, like in that understanding to where, like we don't really have to continue to suffer, like, you know what I mean, someone that might suffer because they don't see things like that in a way that they should be seeing them. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Or understanding things in a way that we have been blessed to understand them, so we can see how much closer we are getting to that self-realization of who we are, so we can end our cycle of suffering, bro. That's what it's all about. It's ending our cycle of suffering from not realizing who it is that we are having this experience.
Mm-hmm. And they call that karmic cycles, right?
Yes, karmic cycles. Like, you're going to go through the same thing over and over. And that's even how the school system and everything is set up. If you don't learn the lessons of kindergarten, you ain't going to the first grade. You're coming back and do that shit all over again. You know what I'm saying? Until you learn the lesson, you're going to have to come back and do it over and over. Earth is only a cosmic school. We are all here to learn lessons. And until we learn the lessons of this physical existence, how you going to elevate up into the spiritual? Yeah, so we got to understand the lesson. Go ahead, bro.
That's one thing I noticed is that I work with youth. I came up as a youth myself, and I noticed that from a young age, it seems like there's a spiritual, there seems to be a great energy from the powers that be that's trying to take and block the spiritual growth of like young people right out the bat. And you see it in the education system, you see it in entertainment, you see it in food, all types of stuff that all seems to be trying to pause and hold up the growth of the young mind and the young spiritual development. Yeah. And it seems like almost they know the power and the abilities, the capabilities that of just being able to spiritually grow. So when you have to think about food, clothes, shelter, trauma,
survival.
Like you can't come up out of the base chakras or whatever,
There you
right? It's
go.
really hard,
There you
right?
go.
So
There you
it's
go.
like, tell me, what's your take on that? Like, weaponized, not, let me not say that, but what is your take on the lack of being able to develop yourself out of like survival mode that a lot of young people go through? And how important is it to like find your way through that?
Okay. Well, like that base chakra, like you said, that deals with things like survival. You know what I mean? Like food, clothing, and shelter. But understanding like this is the base chakra, which when we understand that each chakra is a level of consciousness. You know what I'm saying? So if we're trapped in a base chakra, then we're gonna only understand ourselves from that base level, that basic level. We're not gonna understand and see the fullness of who it is that we are. Like in that base chakra, a person sees themselves as more as an animal, not as a divine being. You know what I mean? As a sheep that can be guided to a slaughter blindly because we're not fully aware of who it is that we are. So they know the powers that be know that they could keep humanity trapped in that base chakra, then we can control them. We can enslave them. We can direct them in whatever direction that we want them to go in because they don't even realize who it is that they are yet fully. You know what I'm saying? It's like being a child. It's like being a child. So the more people that are locked in this reality or consciousness of themselves, that creates like a prison, bro. It creates like a prison for humanity. Like it enslaves us because we're not free. Like we're being controlled from that level. You know what I mean? So the true journey of escaping the oppression of this reality is ascending to those higher chakras within our own being or those higher levels of consciousness for us to be able to fully realize who it is that we are as gods and goddesses here. I'm going to put it like this is my perception, bro. You know what I'm saying? As gods and goddesses here. You know what I mean? Breaking free from the captivity that we have found ourselves in because we don't realize who it is that we are. So they keep us trapped in that lower level of perception of who it is that we think we are. But this level that we are trapped in is the level that we can be controlled at. You know what I'm saying? That we can be manipulated at. That we can be, like I say, led blindly to slaughters. You know what I'm saying? Because we don't even know who it is that we are. And so they want to keep us in that lack of understanding of ourselves because they're able to control us, because they're able to manipulate us, like all the things that come from us being at that level of awareness of ourselves. And this is what Jacob's ladder in the Bible is talking about. This is what the 7 churches in Revelations of the Bible is talking about. These chakra systems climbing up out of hell back into the kingdom of heaven. Back into the kingdom of heaven. Like these 7 different chakras or us climbing ourselves out of hell back into heaven. Because the Bible speaks about the fall of man. And this is talking about the fall of consciousness of man into the level of hell. And this is why we see so much hell experiences going on in here. It's because that level of awareness that we dwell at as a humanity, to be animalistic, to act like animals, not as divine beings, not as spiritual beings having a human experience, but acting like animals. And so this is why most of humanity behaves in that type of way, is because of that base perception or that base consciousness of who it is that we are. You know what I'm saying? And so it benefits the powers that be to keep us trapped there, to control us and to use our energy like batteries. You know what I'm saying? To promote their agenda, keeping us in a sleeping state like zombies. You know what I'm saying? And so we have to rise up out of that level of awareness to higher levels of ourselves, to the supreme awareness of ourselves. The kingdom of God and the kingdom of heaven dwells within us. When we're in that lower region, that's hell. That's hell. So this is how we raise ourselves up out of hell back into the kingdom of heaven. This is why these 2 points on the head are called the temple of God. Like these are your temples. So we have to get back into our temple once again so we can worship and praise God, the creator, like we're supposed to be. And so this is the reason why they block that. They don't want us to grow spiritually. Like the devil don't want God to awaken. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't. And so even when you're dealing with that chakra color is red. And whenever you see a depiction of the devil, what color does he be all the time? Red. But they're talking about that chakra. which produces devilish actions. Because a person that's operating from that low level of consciousness of himself is going to act extremely devilish. They will do anything to get what they want. They will do anything to survive. They will do anything to anyone with no remorse as long as they get what they need. And that survival level of awareness. You know what I'm saying? And so this is what we have to reverse. Like everything is about reversing, man. Like we have to reverse this. We got to stop calling each other dog and get back to calling each other God again, in my opinion. I'm not pushing that on nobody, but everything has been reversed, bro. You know what I'm saying? We have to reverse this. We got to stop living at that low level of existence and elevate ourselves to that highest level of awareness of ourselves. You know what I mean? And so it benefits the powers that be to keep us trapped, bro. To keep us trapped in this vicious cycle of suffering.
Yeah.
Of suffering and pain.
And they say that people like the powers that be, the minority that controls the majority, it's like they can only feel powerful if they're standing up. They can only feel tall if they're standing up, and everybody else is down on their knees.
It's down, yeah.
That's
bro.
the only way. Because if everybody's standing up, they know that they're not equal. You know what I'm saying? If we're on equal ground, so that's why they just try to keep everybody at that place.
That's a beautiful way to put it.
You touched on something that I want to ask you more about. You talked about the physical representation of some scriptures, maybe not Bible scriptures, but like I know, like in Egypt or Kemet, you talk about a lot of the hieroglyphics, a lot of the stuff, a lot of the hieroglyphics anyway, right?
Yeah.
They're actually saying that some of this represents stuff that's in the body.
Yeah.
And that these are representations of how to use these organs in the body in a way to activate yourself kind of spiritually, or like knowledges of the body and the metaphysical aspects that we don't necessarily use, that we don't take them literal, but we take them as like more mythical. You see what I'm saying? Does that make any sense, or do you know anything about that?
That makes perfect sense, and that's why I made a statement earlier. Like even when you look at the Bible, the word Genesis is actually gene. Like when you take the I and the S off of Genesis, you have gene, or you can keep the S on, GENES, and then Genesis, you add the I and the S, and the I and the S means something on its own, but the base word of the word Genesis is genes. This is all talking about the physical body, from Genesis to Revelation, that which will be revealed inside of the physical body, or the God that will awaken inside of all of us. This is what the Bible itself is talking about, that most people don't even understand, and that's why the Bible comes in talking about an atom, but it's not Adam, A-D-A-M, it's atom, A-T-O-M. You know what I mean? The atoms of the body, like the foundation of all of creation is Adam. You know what I mean? And this is what historically cultures like people like in Kemet, this is what we always knew. You know what I mean? Everything that exists out there is in us. You know what I'm saying? And so this is what the spiritual systems and the mystery systems were about, that a student would enter into. They would give you a story like the Bible in the beginning, because they understood that you were a child entering into this mystery school system. But by the time that you finish that, you will understand everything that story was talking about was you. You know what I mean? And so yes, like things like in the Bible, like when God wrestled with Jacob, and at the end of that, Jacob named that place that he wrestled with God at Peniel, because he had seen God face to face. But we all understand this is talking about the pineal gland, to where we're able to, and this is the master gland of the whole body, and this is dealing with the chakras. When we're able to raise ourselves to that level of awareness of ourselves, we understand ourselves as one with God. Like when we reach that level of awareness of ourselves, dealing with the chakra system. So all of this is talking about us. You know what I mean? This universe is a reflection of us. Like we are a microcosm of the macrocosm. We are the universe walking around on 2 feet. Everything in this universe is within us. And this is what we have to understand. Like we can't separate ourselves from this universe. We are one with this universe, and anything that you see and learn and is taught about this universe is only teaching you about you. And this is the awakening that we have to have. The body is stardust energy. The body is composed of stars. What is it, 98, 99% stardust is what the body is composed of? Or just look at yourself as the four elements. Like the body is earth. Like we have hair to grow out of our body like grass. We have to cut the grass. We call it getting haircuts and shape up and things like that. But this is earth. The body is earth. Our breath is the air. You know what I mean? This 75% water that we consist of is water that comes from this earth. This spirit in us that keeps our body at 98.6 degrees is the spirit of this sun that shines down and gives everything life here. We are the temple of that light. And so we are this universe around us. And this is what all indigenous cultures or ancient cultures was trying to get the people to understand, that we are earth, air, fire, and water. So when you look out at the earth and you feel the wind blow, or you seeing that sun, or you at the ocean, you have to be seeing an extension of your own self, or at least where you come from. You know what I mean? We have to identify ourselves with this place. We are one with it. And this is what a lot of these stories, or most of these stories, was trying to convey. And even what Christianity is trying to convey, but people are not extracting the wisdom out of the story. But this is what always happens since the beginning of time. Like we would get a story, but we would extract the wisdom out of that story. And that's what we are missing within Christianity. We are taking it literal instead of extracting the message out of it. And this is why even in the Bible, Jesus never spoke to a person plainly. He always gave you a parable. He was saying, figure that shit out. Figure out what I'm saying. I'm not going to speak to you plainly. You know what I mean? And so this is the same thing. Like the whole Bible is that. Even in the Bible, it tells you that this is all allegory. The Bible tells you this is an allegorical story. You know what I mean? And so we have to awaken and understand that everything that we see, we are. We are that. We are that. It's a matter of fact, it's a reflection of who it is that we are. When we understand how we operate, like light shines into our eyes, and that whole journey of light entering our eyes and everything it does when it enters there, and then it takes the information that we have been, that's programmed in our brains, and it projects that back out as the reality that we see. But it doesn't exist until it enters us first, and then we project that out, just like a film projector. It's the same thing. So everything that you see out there, it's out there because it already exists inside of us. And so this is what we have to understand, so we can fully, just to elevate our consciousness of who it is that we are and what integral parts that we play in existence. I know I rambled off a lot, man.
Nah, that's what, man. Every single word is very valuable, and we appreciate it. So I want to ask you, kind of moving on from that. Earlier you said that you feel that we're gods and goddesses here on this earth. That's kind of our place, our journey. So that brings me to something I wanted to talk to you about, and I know it's something that I've seen you comment on before on your page. Other people kind of ask you about it. I see your responses, and I want to ask you about the family, the human family, and I want to ask you about, like, you know what I mean? We could find divinity within, we could find enlightenment, we could know where we are and all that type of stuff. But how do we interact with each other? And why is it that we feel like we're on that path, but I may have, like, say we're all brothers and sisters. I may be sitting here and I'm next to my so-called brother, and he's feeling jealousy towards me. He's feeling anger towards me. He wishes sabotage on me. You know what I'm saying? What if I'm a lot of people I talk to, a lot of young men I talk to, they have a lot of issues with their female counterparts. You know what I mean? They just can't get along. The ideologies, there seems to be a great rift in the masculine and the feminine. There seems to be a great rift even between men and men, and women, in which we're all just like not understanding each other. So I want to ask you, break that down into, and then however you want to break it down. But I want to ask you two specific ways, like between me and other men that I'm dealing with, people that I'm supposed to call my friends, stuff like that. The betrayal, the jealousy, all that type of stuff. When somebody's being like a pure-hearted individual, they're not representing that type of stuff. They coming straight forward, but they're dealing with that. Why is that? And then I want to also ask you, between men and women, the rifts, the divide that I see a lot right now in society. How do you feel that affects on society? We could talk more about that, but first I want to talk about, like, between men, the mistrust, the anger, the violence.
Yeah.
Everything that we go through, to where I can't personally say that I trust. I can trust a few on my, a few people I can count
I
on my
got
finger.
you,
That's
bro.
it. What is your take on that? Why is it like that? If we're all gods, if we're supposed to be brothers under this in this existence, why is it like that?
Gotcha. I got you. And bro, that goes right back to what we was all talking about. Like this all talks about the self work, like doing the work to elevate to higher levels of consciousness. Like these chakras are real. You know what I mean? So you can be doing the work in your life where you are elevating to that level of awareness of yourself that you can see a next man as your brother. But does that mean he see you like that? Like, has he done the work to get to that level of awareness of you as your brother? Because that's a level of awareness that a person has to truly reach inside of themselves. That person can still be in that survival chakra, really, and can be using you for what you might can offer him. You know what I mean? But you think he's coming off a trance in a deceptive way, like he's your friend, but he know that's not real. He know that's a deception. But with you, it's genuine because you have did the work and elevating your own self to understand, yo, that's my brother right there. But that doesn't mean he did that. And so even though he's appearing to be something, he's not really that because he hasn't did the work to truly become that which he is claiming that he is. Like a person can claim to be your friend, bro. Of course, a person can claim that they love you, but if you haven't reached that level of your heart chakra to know what it means to love someone, then it's an illusion. It's an illusion, and you will soon find out that it was an illusion because that person hasn't did the work to elevate to that level to truly love someone else other than himself, even though he's saying it. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, it's all about self-work, bro. The way that we cultivate our own self in a spiritual way, the levels of consciousness that we reach inside of ourselves. That's the work that comes with that. It's not just talk. A person can tell you anything, but it's the work that a person puts in to become what they are claiming that they are. Like you putting in that work. So you're reaching levels of connections with other people that other people are not reaching in themselves, but even though they show up in the name of that, you my brother, they show up in the name of that, but the work hasn't been done for them to truly stand in that position in your life. That comes with a work, bro. You know what I mean? I would do for you whatever I would do for myself. Like I see you as an extension of me. You know what I'm saying? So I will be there for you in whatever ways that I can be there for you, in whatever ways that, you know what I mean, you need me to be there for you because I love you. I really love you. But but that's a work to really be in that state of being, family. You know what I'm saying? These things don't just happen. You're like a brother would kill his blood brother over material things. Like I done seen that happen many times. You know what I'm saying? Or hurt or manipulate or just whatever, their own blood. But you're supposed to love me. But if you haven't reached that level in your own self, you don't know what it means to love no one because you don't even know what it means to love yourself. And so like this is a work, an individual work that we all have to do to get us beyond just talking and saying things that has no real meaning or power behind them because the work hasn't been done yet. You know what I mean? We have to do the work, bro. We have to cultivate ourselves. We have to climb this ladder to reach certain levels of being. You know what I mean? Like we know people that get up every day that's in that root chakra. That every day they get up, it's about survival. You know what I'm saying? They'll do anything to get what they feel like they need. You know what I mean? Like we know people like that. Like that's a level, that's a vibration. Consciousness is there. And you know what I mean? This is the level that they're operating from. We know people that get up each day and they operate from greed, whether it's sexual greed, whether they can't get enough money, they can't get enough food. Like we can see where people are at on this level, like of this journey, of this elevation or these chakras. So you have to really reach that level of love for someone else, bro. You know what I'm saying? If you haven't reached that, then how you going to be able to stand in that and what that truly means? To say I love you, that means something. But how many people that told you that you have had to tell you that they love you in your life, but when it was time for them to show up and love, they wasn't there. They wasn't there. You know what I'm saying? So it's a work, family. It's a work to reach certain levels of being that you could that have substance to it. You know what I'm saying? Where your actions speak louder than your words, things like that. I'm gonna show you that I love you. I'm gonna show you that you're my brother. I'm not just gonna tell you that. But how can that be real if that person is not vibrating from that level? You know what I'm saying? In themselves. to know what it means to love someone else. Most people don't even know what it means to love someone else because they don't know what it means to love themselves. You know what I mean? And so it always come back to a self-work that a person is responsible for in their individual lives. And so how I look at it, if I'm truly vibing from that place of love for my brother, if I'm truly there, then I just, speak that like it'll be attracted back to me because we understand ourselves as electromagnetic beings that, so I take responsibility for that. If I attract someone in my life that winds up being manipulative or trying to manipulate me in some type of way and wasn't really what he was claiming to be in my life, then I still take responsibility for that. Like, how did I attract that in my life? Like, it's more healing that I got to do in myself. Because life is only a reflection, especially in your close personal life. Those things that are in your orbit, that orbit around you, is a reflection of you in some type of way. So I still take individuals' responsibility for that. Because how did I attract that into my life? So I need more healing in my life because I want to attract people into my life that are a reflection of how much I love myself. And so it shows up outside of myself how much I love myself because I understand as above, so below, as within, so without. You know what I mean? Life is a reflection. Life is a mirror. Life shows you who it is that you are. Life will show you how much you love yourself or how much you don't love yourself. And so it's about me taking full responsibility for the experiences that I have in my life, and I don't want to have to point the finger at no one else. You know what I'm saying? I'm the master of my reality. So my goal is to master myself. So every experience that I have, I understand this is me. This is me right here. And whatever way it shows up, even if it shows up negatively, if it's in your personal life, this is me. This is me. Like, what healing do I need? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's more healing that I need. It's more healing that I need. So even in that, I take responsibility for that too. Until I get to that place that everything that is around me is a reflection of how I love myself. Every experience that I have is a reflection of how I love myself. You know what I'm saying? So I'm having loving experiences. I'm having beautiful experiences as a reflection of what's going on inside of me. I don't want to have to blame anyone else. You know what I mean? I take responsibility for that which I attract into my life. You know what I mean? I understand life from that level. Nothing happens coincidentally. You know what I mean? I manifested this in some kind of way. I am God. Why did I create this experience for myself? You know what I mean? Why did I need to feel like that? You know what I mean? Like, why? Like, what is it about me that needs more healing? That I had to feel like that about someone because it must be on some level that I'm manipulating my own self. I take full responsibility. You know what I'm saying, bro?
100%. And I can attest to that coming from a person that used to go through a lot of situations that I felt like I was out of control. Things were not going the way I wanted them to. And some of them seemed to be repetitive. You know what I mean? And involving other people, dealing with other people. Keep on falling into situations. I remember it was a change I made in myself under extreme duress, under extreme circumstances. And I was like, I need to make this change within myself. At that point in time, never again did I enter into those situations. Never again did I find the energy. And it wasn't easy. It's like I could feel it like it's trying to come. It's trying to slip back. But I stood on that and realized it was in myself. I made that change within myself, and it took quite some time. But it was exactly that. A change I needed to make it almost like I had a beacon or a magnetism for this type of situation. To keep
there you go. But you did the work, though. That's what I mean. Like, it's a self-work. If you wouldn't have did that work, then you would have been experiencing the same thing over and over again. That's what I mean. Like, it's a self-work, man. You know what I mean? Life is only a reflection.
Just
you
to
can't
bring,
point your...
to bring like a little bit of a challenging statement to that, to somebody that still might be kind of skeptical about, because a lot of people don't want to do that self-work. So they're going to come up with ideology and reasons to like say that, no, it's not self-work. This is just the state of affairs. So what about, for instance, a person like Nipsey Hussle? You know what I mean? Somebody that we, you know what I mean, a lot of people loved his message, his music. You know what I'm saying? It's like he was somebody that seemed to be on a wavelength, on a level of just giving and like personifying love and personifying the spirit. And he was taken out not by somebody necessarily was in his circle like that, but he was taken out in his neighborhood. He was taken out in his work, in the
We're
process
supposed
of
to
his
be
work.
loved that, yeah.
Why does stuff like that happen? What is the purpose or something like
I mean, because people are here for specific reasons. Like, people are here for a purpose, and sometimes when that purpose is fulfilled, then it's over. Like, it's fulfilled. You know what I'm saying? Like, we got to understand that as well. Like, what type of impact did he have in this reality in his short life? I know he was taken out that way, but the question is, did he fulfill his purpose or not? Like, nothing happens by coincidence, bro. You can be like, oh, snap, like, why did that happen to Nipsey? That wasn't supposed to happen to him, but if it wasn't supposed to happen to him, it wouldn't have happened. You know what I mean? So, in my opinion, he fulfilled his purpose here. Like, the way that he impacted the world. Like, we can look at many people like that wasn't able to, live and get to be old. Like, you know what I mean? That whole experience that we could say that their life was cut off short. But in the time that they had here, they had such a great impact on the world. And they changed the world and affected the world in some type of way. And that was the sole reason for them being born here in the first place. But other people might don't understand that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They might don't even he might didn't understand it. You know what I'm saying? But this universe, his inner self understood that. You know, like, bro, your job is done. Come back to paradise now. You done did your work. Like, this is what Jesus' story is about. Jesus could have had a story of living to be an old man, but his work was done. His work was done. And sometimes a person's work is done. And the way that they impacted the world, in the time that they was here, is what was needed. You know what I mean? And so they accomplished that. And so they was called back home to somewhat beautiful. I know Nipsey was called back to somewhat beautiful. You know what I mean? Those people that came to sacrifice their life for a message for the world. You know what I'm saying? I know they returned to somewhere beautiful, bro. You know what I mean? And just hearing his mother's story, the way that his mother spoke of him afterwards, like, yo, Nipsey is good. Nipsey, you know what I mean? Like, she knows. You know what I'm saying? Like, his work is done. His mother will tell you that. You know what I'm saying? Nipsey fulfilled his purpose. Be happy for him. You know what I'm saying? And so we have to be able to look at it like that. Like, yo, this man lived his purpose. He did his job. He has been called home to a paradise somewhere. You know what I mean? And that's truly how I see that, bro.
Yes. And it seems like some people that we all know, some people I've known personally, they're just here and they seem to be doing so much. And then they leave early. You know what I mean? They die early.
Yeah.
And it's like, but then if you go back and you look at their life, like say Tupac, for instance, like people that like, they were doing so much and they seem to have just this fire in them that they almost knew they only had a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they felt it. So that only makes me believe that it's true that there's some people that's here. Everybody's not here to just, let's see how old I can live. Some people are here to do their work in a short amount of time.
And then that's it. Bob Marley life was like that. Like, there's so many people that you can name. Like, why did this person didn't live to an old ripe age? But look how these people impacted the world. And these people's names will live on forever, bro. Yeah. They are immortal. They are immortal. They will always exist. Their stories will always be told. They will always be remembered. You know what I mean? From the way that they impacted the world. And that's what's important. You know what I'm saying? The impact that you have in this reality. Like, how did you impact the world? How did you impact those that are around you? Even though everybody's not meant to impact the world on a global scale like they have, but in your own personal life, the people that are around you, like, how is your presence here impacting them? Everything is about your impact. Like, what kind of change? How are you making this world? What part and what role are you playing in making this world a better place? That's what matters. That's what matters. Like, you don't have to live to be 100 years old to do that, because people live to be 100 years old and didn't really even have no real impact on the world. You know what I'm saying? But someone that lived to be as young as a Tupac or a Nipsey, but look how much impact that they had on all of reality. You know what I'm saying? The way that they influence all of reality, the lives they touch, the people that they change. Like, like, they will never be forgotten. They have immortalized themselves in a short period of time. You know what I'm saying? And so it's not all about the time here. It's about what you do with the time that you have been given.
Yeah.
And how you have impacted those around you. Was it in a positive way or a negative way? Like, we're striving to impact the people around us or this reality in a positive way. You know what I mean? To help change the suffering and the things that we see here. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so how are we impacting the people that are around us is what's important.
I agree. And so we were talking about at the beginning, this part of the conversation. We're talking about, dealing with jealousy, dealing with betrayal. What about the importance between the all right? So between the man and the woman, I noticed
Yeah,
a lot of tension, a lot of trouble between a lot of my young friends who are in relationships, having kids. You know what I mean? I know like 3 or 4 different kids right now having kids. You know what I mean? Young people having children.
yeah,
Um, like I see a lot of people going through clout in a relationship. It seems like as young men, a lot of us don't trust women. There's
mhm,
stigma towards women. There's stigma towards what we should and what we shouldn't be doing,
mhm,
gender roles, these types of things. So I noticed on your page commentary about the masculine and the feminine, and as men, how we should be standing up for our women, how like
yeah,
taking responsibility as men
yeah,
on a higher level than maybe what the norm is telling us to do or telling us
yeah,
is okay to do. And so
yeah,
one thing I noticed when I noticed you said one post where you were saying that the healing of the earth itself corresponds to the healing that we help our women go through. It's like
yeah,
as to Mother Earth is to the
yeah,
woman in our relationship. For us to treat it, to foster it, to help it to grow, to help it to heal.
yeah,
I even saw
yeah,
somebody comment and they was like, "Hey, listen," and they said it in maybe a more crude way, but they was like, "Hey, listen, but what about them? What about the woman?
yeah.
This
I
is
know what
how
you're
they
talking about.
act. You know what I mean? This is how they
Yeah,
act. This is what they do. So how am I
yeah,
supposed to do what I gotta do?" And that reminds me of what you were saying a minute ago. But I would like to ask you, like, that's what I get a lot of times from talking to young men
yeah,
and stuff. Like it's like, yo,
yeah,
she did this, she did that. You know, what
yeah,
am I supposed to do? She's this kind of person, she's that kind of person.
yeah,
And then all
yeah,
these families, everybody's like, I feel like getting broken up. I feel like the women and females are growing up feeling that they have to go into the certain roles or the certain ways that society's pushing them towards. Just like everybody,
yeah,
we all feel pushed into a certain role or a certain box. But I
yeah.
want to ask you from a man standpoint, as men, how can we do better? How can we foster the relationship between our women, and how important is that in the grand scheme of things?
That's very important. The reason why that's very important is because you can look at a woman and you can just take her from just the form, or you can look at a man and you just take him from just the form that we occupy. But what we are actually talking about is the yin and the yang of all of creation. You know what I'm saying? The masculine and the feminine principle of all of creation that has brought everything into existence. Like, we are here because of 50% our mother and 50% our father. Like, just because I'm a man, it took 50% of my mother and 50% of my father to allow us to be here. You know what I'm saying? That balance that allows us to be here, like in the first place. So even though I'm a man, I understand that half of who I am is feminine. You know what I mean? And by us understanding that life is a reflection of what goes on inside of us, right? You know what I'm saying? So outwardly, if I'm able to oppress or look at a woman, you know what I mean, as less than I am, because in patriarchy, if we're going to be honest, that's what happens. You know what I'm saying? The woman is supposed to do what the man say. Like, a lot of oppression happens within like patriarchy. Like, a woman is not free to do like a man is free to do, and that's just reality. And this is not bashing anyone. This is just the way that it is under patriarchy. The man is supposed to be like supreme, like within that. Like, even in Christianity, even in the church, it says that a woman can't even speak. You know what I'm saying? Like, within that, like, that energy is being suppressed. But if that energy is being suppressed outwardly, what does that let us know about what's going on inside of ourselves? And that feminine energy is being suppressed and ruled over inside of ourselves when it's supposed to be at a balance, because it's the balancing of both of these principles, the masculine and the feminine, that allows everything in creation to exist in the first place. So if you suppress that energy inside of yourself, which is the only way it can happen outwardly, then that shows that you're putting your own self at an internal imbalance. An internal imbalance, like you are not whole and you are not complete inside of yourself, because you are suppressing a vital aspect of who it is that you are. You know what I'm saying? So I want my feminine principle, the woman in my life, to have every equality that I have. You know what I'm saying? Especially in my personal life, like my wife. Yo, I don't rule over you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to be in harmony with you. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to tell you what to do. I want us to have good communication between each other. I don't want to rule over you. You know what I mean? Because you are a reflection of what's going on inside of me and inside of myself. I want harmony and balance. I want to be in a harmonious place inside of myself. And by me striving to accomplish that, my relationship is like that. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm treating my wife in a balanced, harmonious, equal way outside of myself because of what's going on inside of me. You know what I mean? Like, we got to get out of one principle being more dominant than the other principle, because that's always going to keep reality out of balance. It's going to keep reality out of balance. And this is what we're here to accomplish, man. You know what I mean? This is what the yin-yang symbol is about, the harmonious interaction between both principles. One principle is not better than the other principle. We are all equal and powerful in our own rights. You know what I'm saying? And we have to stop oppressing women the same way that this earth is being oppressed. But you know what I mean? This earth is being oppressed. Mother Nature is being oppressed right now with all the toxins put in her, with all the in the oceans, in the air, like in the earth, like she's being oppressed from expressing herself in the fullness of the way that she can be expressing herself. And our women are Mother Nature on 2 feet, the mother of all seeds. You know what I'm saying? We plant our seeds in the earth the same way we plant our seeds in the mother. You know what I mean? She is Mother Nature on 2 feet. She gives birth to the seeds that we plant in her. You know what I mean? She is nature, and she is experiencing the same thing that Mother Nature is experiencing, oppression. She's being oppressed, and this is just reality, bro. You know what I'm saying? And so we have to be able to, our goal should be like, how can I give her what I want her to experience is the same freedoms that I have. You know what I mean? In this patriarchy, where the man rules and the man does what he wants to do. This is just the reality that we're in. But it hasn't always been like that. It has been a time of matriarchy. You know what I'm saying? But the goal is to get back to a balance between the two. Because this is only when we speak of man and woman, we're only speaking of heaven and earth, the union of heaven and earth. You know what I'm saying? The word man comes from the word mind, which means intelligence. You know what I'm saying? Or the light, like of the sun. So a man is supposed to be able to guide and lead a woman through his intelligence. You know what I'm saying? But the man needs to be intelligent, though. You know what I'm saying? He needs to be able to guide his woman from that intelligent, true intelligence, not wanting to rule over her, but understanding how these dynamics work. Like, a man comes to a woman with his intelligence or with his knowledge. A woman takes that knowledge into herself, and she turns that into wisdom. Like, she manifests a man's knowledge for him. Like, she is our earth. So what we give her, she manifests it for us. So she takes our knowledge and she makes that a reality in our life. Like, it's a harmonious interaction that's supposed to be happening between a man and a woman. The same way that the earth and the heavens above are in this harmonious relationship. And this is the reason why we have all of creation. This nature that we are enjoying right now comes from the union of heaven and earth. Comes from that union. And so the more that we are in harmony with our women, with our queens, with our goddesses, this is how we truly manifest our desires and what it is we want to experience and what our intentions is that we want to bring forth in this reality. Like, if you're in a harmonious, the more harmonious your relationship is with your queen or with your woman, this is what's going to give you the power to manifest that. Because the woman is the energy that manifests that. Women give birth, men don't, according to what we implant in them. And we just don't implant physical seeds in them. We have to know how to plant ideas in them, our knowledge in them. Like, this is what I want to experience. Like, this is the vision that I have, queen. Like, how can I manifest this? And she'll go to work for you. She'll go to work for you. You know what I'm saying? So, like, we have to understand that, bro. Like, the way that we supposed to be operating in a harmonious way between one another. You know what I mean? We don't supposed to be at war. We don't supposed to be at odds. We don't supposed to be trying to rule over her or her rule over us. We have to be in a harmony with one another. You know what I'm saying? And so this is what a lot of my message is, because a lot of women feel oppressed for whatever reason by men. Women feel extremely oppressed by men within this patriarchy, where we can see clearly that most men do what they want to do. You know what I'm saying? And women have to deal with that shit. This is just what it is. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to bash men because I'm a man, but I'm just trying to help change that because I understand and I see, okay, like this is what's really going on, and women feel the way that they do because it's real. Like this is their experience, and they trying to explain to men like, yo, don't rule over me. Like I want to experience the same freedom that you experience. I want to be free like you. I'm your equal. I want you to see me as your equal. I'm not less valuable than you. I'm just as valuable as you. Let's work together. Let's work together. And you know, I know I'm trying to speak fast, and I might not be speaking as clearly as I should be, but I'm just trying to give the basic concept of why I see things the way that I see it.
I definitely see what you're saying, but one thing like I notice in society nowadays between men and women is it's kind of like that, like you said, coming from young men and all the older generations, it's been happening some time now. It's kind of like we expect a woman to fit all these types of things just as an accessory or
Yeah,
something
yeah,
that just adds to our life or something
yeah,
that, and it's like how can you go into a relationship with any being and expect them to just be a figment of your imagination, and then
yeah,
when it doesn't work out like that, there's something wrong with them. You know what I mean?
yeah,
We expect women to be this for us, that for us, from the sexual to the
yeah,
taking care of us, pampering us. When we don't
yeah,
understand that a lot of this stuff is unhealthy to even like want for another being to like provide that stuff, and some of that comes from like family situations that we had as younger. Some of it comes from unhealthy views towards feminine and towards the women from a young age. You know what I'm saying? And that's
yeah. I
kind of
do,
what I
bro.
try to get into a lot of these kids' heads. And what I try to talk to any man about is like, man, the ideas and the ideologies of what gender roles are completely twisted. And as you can see,
Yeah,
the universe is expanding. Like we talked about how the universe is expanding. Women are having an awakening. Feminine is having an awakening,
and
and
telling
it's
them
like,
taking their power back.
what's happening to men that's not with that right now? Like they going down. Like
They going
you will
down,
get
bro.
left. You will get
You
left.
gonna get
You know what I
left
mean?
behind.
You'll
I'm
get left
telling you,
behind. You'll get replaced
bro.
by somebody that gets it.
You're
You know
gonna
what I'm
get
saying?
replaced by somebody that gets it. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
this is what's happening and nothing's gonna be able to stop it, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like we are like women are taking their, like you said, they're taking their power back. And it's their power. It's their power that we have taken possession of, man. Like just the same way that man has taken possession of the earth. You know what I mean? We have taken possession of our women too. We look at our women as our possession. They're not our possession, man. You know what I'm saying? And so they're taking their power back. And this is what's going on. And just like you said, a lot of brothers gonna get left behind from this patriarchal point of view of looking at a woman as your possession, something that you want to keep trapped at home, you know what I'm saying, and to let out when you want to let it. Like, nah, man, you know what I'm saying? Women are waking up to their own power, their own feminine power. They're waking back up and they're taking that back for themselves, man. You know what I'm saying? And I'm trying to assist them in that because I know it's needed because we got to bring this reality itself back into a place of balance. It's unbalanced right now. Patriarchy is dominating the feminine principle when it's supposed to be out of balance. So I'm assisting women and getting their power back because I understand the healing that that's going to bring to all of reality. It has to happen. It has to happen. And men should take responsibility. We want to be the head and everything else. You know what I'm saying? We want to lead the family in every other kind of way. But the healing that our women need, we don't want to take responsibility in that. You know what I'm saying? Like we don't want to, lead in that. You know what I mean? Of restoring the women in our life because we understand that they have been oppressed most of their life. Let's take responsibility for that too, because we want to push our chest out and say that we the head of everything else. Let's be the head of that too. You know what I'm saying? Because it has to happen. This is what's happening. More men need to take that responsibility, family. You know what I'm saying? This is why I treat my wife and the way that I do. I uplift my wife. You see my page, man. I'm honoring my wife. I'm
That's
honoring
a
all
fact. That's a
women, bro.
fact.
I'm trying to play my role, man. You know what I'm saying? And because of that, just like you said, I get a lot of attention. You know what I'm saying? From women that don't want to, that just love my view of, like my perception of women that most men don't have. You know what I'm saying? Men are getting ready to be left behind, bro.
Hmm.
Certain men are getting ready to be left behind. You know what I'm saying? And
Other
so,
ones
like,
is gonna
yo,
step up.
other ones are gonna step up and take responsibility. Ain't that what a
Hmm.
man's supposed to do?
Yeah.
A man don't supposed to complain like, why are women like this? Like, you're not sounding like a man. Like, take responsibility for that. Because we always say that a woman is what? Our reflection. So anything that you don't like about a woman, a woman is only showing us who it is that we are. So if you think our women are out of control and all of these things that you think that you are saying about them, but at the same time you would say that they're all reflections, our reflections. So the only thing a woman is showing us is who it is that we are.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So we have to start showing them something different, and they'll begin reflecting that back to us too. You know what I'm saying? Because they're only reflecting back to us that which we are giving them. We have to take responsibility as that initiator, as that electric energy, that spark. You know what I'm saying? We have to take that responsibility, bro. You know what I mean? And they're gonna reflect that back to us. This is how this works. And so this is why I take the stand that I take, because a lot of women are hurt. And so, not saying that men don't deal with hurt. I'm not discrediting men, but I'm just talking about, I know for a fact that women are under patriarchy, you know, and the things that women have went through. You know what I'm saying? And women are beginning to behave like us now. Women are beginning to behave like us now because they are only our reflection. So they're not caring about the sacredness of relationships. They out doing their thing, and they got them a couple of men around now. You know what I'm saying? Just like we always done that. And now that we see them doing that, now they hoes now. You know what I'm saying? They hoes and they bitches and they sluts and all these things now because they are finally doing what we have been doing to them. They are reflecting back to us who it is that we are. So if we truly want that to change, we have to change, bro. We have to change, and they'll begin to reflect the changes that's going on in our lives as men. And then we can go ahead, bro.
You made a great point right there that I want to speak on. Is like the state of things is not great. Even if you come to a reflection right now, okay, I haven't been doing what I need to do as a man. That doesn't mean that the relationship with your baby mama is just gonna heal, right? That doesn't
Yeah.
mean that you know, I mean, everything is gonna be what you think it should be, right? But how can
Yeah.
we heal? And I want to talk about my idea, and I want to hear your idea. But how can we heal from that? You talked about like, oh, um, this is how they act, but it's like we have a responsibility, and we seem like I feel like the feminine energy relies a lot on the masculine energy, and there's things that we
Yeah.
need to do. And then when we don't do those things and we set the wrong example, look how
There
things
you go.
become. Like you was
There you
talking
go.
about, and then we look at women that do what men do, whether it's be promiscuous or whether just not caring about the regular
Yeah.
ideals in a relationship. Now they're hoes, they're this, they're that. While men
Nah,
have been
they
doing
all of
this for
that.
so long, we've been
There you
messing
go.
up. So it's like I find that to heal the feminine energy, like we talk about, not only do I need to do that in my relationship, but with women I interact with women in my family. It's like a lot of
Yeah.
men, maybe they even treat their woman like a queen, but they go around, they'll still act flirtatious, they'll still deal in the
Yeah.
ego, looking to win little
Yeah.
battles of the ego, and
Yeah.
like little things where it's like, you know that you're wrong, you know that you're hurting, um, that you're not respecting and showing respect to the feminine spirit and not treating them
Yeah.
like you would want your daughter to be treated. You know what I mean? So
That's
it's
right.
like you can treat your woman like a queen in your eyes and all that type of stuff. You can't go turn around and then call that woman a hoe
There you go.
or
There you
disrespect
go.
disrespect women. You know what I mean? It's like it's a universal thing, and it's like
There you go.
maybe you come to an enlightenment, but it's still not gonna work out with the person you wanted to work out with. You still have to like show them respect. You still have to
There you
meet
go.
that
You know what I'm
standard
saying?
no matter what you get outside of yourself.
There you go. There you go. You know what I'm saying? I agree with that fully, family. You know what I'm saying? Because I look at that like you said, like maybe things and like with your baby mother and things like that, like maybe things will not never be like exactly like you want them to be, but that still shouldn't impact, or it shouldn't still like you said, like it's still your responsibility to even treat your baby mama like in a certain type of way. You know what I mean? Like yo, like it's still an honoring of them, like because a lot of times, like a lot of times, women and men don't even realize the specialness in like of themselves, and because they don't realize it, that don't mean that you don't have to treat them from the understanding and the awareness that you see them as. Like because most people don't see themselves as a queen or a goddess. Maybe in this life they never will, but that shouldn't deter you from treating them in that type of way. You know what I'm saying? It's still your responsibility, because if you truly see the woman as goddess and as a queen, and you truly respect that feminine principle, then you're going to respect it, even if they don't respect it in themselves. You know what I'm saying? you respect it in yourself. Like everything is about the way that you perceive things and the way that you respect things in your own self. Like watch it, like that shouldn't change you. What's going on the outside shouldn't change who you are on the inside. You know what I'm saying? And like if you truly see things that way, then nothing outside of yourself should change that, even if they don't see themselves in that type of capacity. Because I have those type of situations. You know what I'm saying? Where a woman doesn't even honor themselves as the divine feminine and as queen and like all of these words that we might put on them, but I still do. I still do. Like, yo, you a queen. Like, you're like, why you don't see that? And try to help them see that. Even if they never do, I still try to help them see it. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes they be like, man, I ain't trying to hear that. But when they know they're around me, this is what you're going to get. You know, because this is who I am. This is not nothing I'm just calling you to be playing games to try to seduce you or anything like this. This is my perception of who it is that you are. And I'm going to keep calling you that until you have that awakening within your own self. You know what I'm saying? And that's just how I see it. You know what I'm saying? Reality is what reality is. And just like you said earlier that, yo, these different laws, these universal laws, like these things are set in stone. These things are set in stone. You know what I'm saying? The feminine principle is what the feminine principle is. The masculine principle is what the masculine principle is, even if we're not fully embodying it. But you like, yo, I can't change the fact that this is who you are, the divine feminine, and I'm going to help you. Hopefully, I'm going to play my role in helping you to hopefully finally realize that in this life. Like, that's my goal anyway, as many women that I can touch and awaken. And that's why, like, most of my movement is for that. Like, because we need the feminine principle to awaken so this planet can heal. This is what the feminine principle brings. It brings nurturing. It brings healing. It brings all of those things that the world is missing because patriarchy is ruling. And like in an imbalanced way. You know what I'm saying? The feminine energy is what's going to bring the healing and the love and all of the things that this world is missing, bro.
Yeah.
And so I'm just trying to take my responsibility in awakening that force and awakening that principle back into the universe because it's needed, because we need this reality to heal. You know what I mean? And the feminine principle is going to bring that. That's what it brings, the nurturing and the kindness and the sensitivity and the compassion. The feminine energy brings that. You know what I'm saying? Inside of ourselves, like most of us men have been taught to shut down that aspect of who it is that we are. We don't know how to be sensitive and things like that. Like men don't supposed to be that.
So
How we was taught.
can
You know
you
what I'm saying?
expand on that? So you talking about we talked about the role of the man and the woman and like ways that we can heal, but you talking about the feminine principle and the masculine principle, and you're saying that this is something that's within every being, whether you are
Yeah. A
born a
man
male,
or a
born
woman.
a female. So what is that? A
Yeah.
lot of people don't know about polarity, about the masculine and the feminine. How is it that inside me or inside you is feminine energy as
That
well as
operates.
masculine energy? How does that work?
Okay. Yeah. Because like I said earlier, that even though me and you, we men right now, but a man didn't create us on his own. It took 50% of our mother. And I was like that principle is half of who we are. The feminine principle is half of who we are. Even though I'm a man, and if you're a woman, you have the feminine principle, but as well, the masculine principle is 50% of who you is as well. So, as us as individuals, this is how this works. The masculine principle is the aspect of us. It's the doing aspect of who it is that we are as individuals. The things that need to be done, like a man. You know, let's say like in a perfect world, how you want to look at it, a man will go out and he would do the things that needs to be done to get what the house would need to sustain itself. He would go out and do those things, and he would bring those things back to the home, and then the woman in the home would take those things that he brought back to the home, and then she would nurture the whole household with it. You know what I'm saying? Because she's that nurturing principle. So inside of us, it's like, are you doing the things for yourself that brings nurturing into your life? You know what I'm saying? Are you doing the things that are nurturing to you? And we can look at that, like look at it as food. You know what I'm saying? Are you doing the things that would cause your body to be healthy from the foods that you eat? Are you drinking enough water? Are you being nurturing to yourself? Are you being kind to yourself? Are you being loving to yourself? That's the principle that we have to tap into within our own being to have that experience, to have self-love, to treat yourself kindly, to be sensitive towards your own self, to make sure you are loving yourself in the way that you should be loving yourself. We have to have that principle operating in a strong way to even have that as an individual, so we can, you know what I mean, live a healthy life. You know what I'm saying? A life to where we can be kind to ourselves, where we don't destroy ourselves by blocking off that feminine principle that brings nurturing into a man's life. And especially as us as individuals, we have to have a strong feminine energy because we have to be nurturing and kind to our own self. We can't. We're supposed to be walking around here hating ourselves, not doing loving things for ourselves, not being nurturing to our own self, not eating the proper foods, not eating the drinking the proper water, things like that. Nurturing things. We have to have that in ourselves as individuals, and that's the feminine principle inside of all of us that allows us to put us in a place to have that consciousness, to do these things for ourselves. It's the feminine principle, bro. That a woman is always and will always be our nurturer. That principle, the feminine principle, is the nurturing aspect of who it is that we are. So do you want to be healthy? Because you're not going to be healthy without being nurturing to yourself. You're not going to be healthy without being kind to yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like all of the things that the feminine principle gives birth to. We have to have that inside of ourselves as individuals, that loving mother that exists inside of all of us. You know what I'm saying? We have to be fully in tune with that aspect of who it is that we are, so we can have long, beautiful, healthy lives. Well, we're going to shut that down, that nurturing aspect of ourselves, and destroy ourselves. We're gonna do that. You know, no, that feminine principle has to be strong in you, whether you a man or whether you a woman. And even if you a woman, that feminine principle, that masculine principle, like, yo, you have to do the things for yourself that need to be done for you. Like, you shouldn't be depending on nobody else to do that for you. Even if it does happen, that's a beautiful thing. You know what I'm saying? But let's say if a woman don't have a man to take care of her, is she not supposed to take care of herself? Is she not supposed to do the things for herself that will allow her to be okay so she can have food, clothing, and shelter? Or is she just going to wait on a man to do that? You know what I'm saying? But she has that ability within our own self to take care of herself. You know what I'm saying? These are the ways that these principles operate inside of ourselves as individuals, bro. You know what I'm saying? Of course, we need to do the things that we need to do for ourselves. That's the masculine principle. But we also have to be nurturing and kind and sensitive to our own self. That's the feminine principle that exists inside of everyone, whether you're a man or a woman.
Mm-hmm. So it's about
You know what I'm
balance.
saying? It's about balance, bro. It's about balance.
So
And see what we got.
masculine,
Go
my
ahead.
fault. Masculine
No,
and
you go ahead.
feminine. These are polar opposites.
Polar opposites.
So
You know what I'm
polarity.
saying?
How important
Polarity.
is it to find balance and polarity, and what other aspects other than just masculine and feminine do you find this polarity in life, and how should you interact with it?
Man, you're gonna find that in every aspect of your life, and the reason why it's a balance is always important. You take something as simple as a chair. You try to stand a chair up with two legs or on your car. Like, you try to drive your car with just wheels on one side of the car. You know what I'm saying? And see how far you're going. Like, everything is about balance, and that shows up in every aspect of your life. Like, okay, let's say what's the statement? Like, too much of anything is bad for you. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, okay, like drinking water, that's a good thing for you, but that water can drown you at the same time. You know what I'm saying? Or just going out to enjoy your friends every now and then, you know what I'm saying, and coming back home, like when you got you got a family and a wife at home. But if you all the way, all the time gone from home, you know what I'm saying, then that's imbalanced because you're neglecting your home now. Like, you're not giving your home what it needs. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just shows up in every aspect of your life. Like, everything is about balance, man. This universe teaches us that. It can't be night all the time. Like, it has to be a day. You know what I mean? Like, everything in this universe is about balance. Like, what if you came outside and it was raining constantly and never no sunshine? Like, everything is about, like, an equality, man. Like, we need to experience both aspects constantly. You know what I'm saying? Like, we need to live life in a balanced way. Like, life itself exists because of balance. And this is one thing that the universe teaches us. Like, you're not going to have winter unless you got a spring. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're not going to have winter unless you have a summer. You're not going to have spring unless you have a fall. Like, these things exist simultaneously, like in a balance. Like, you're not going to have heaven if you don't got earth. Like, you're not going to have God if you don't have a devil. You're not going to have man if you don't have a woman. Like, we are able to experience our life because of balance. Like, every aspect of life is what I'm saying is about balance. It shows up everywhere. Life itself is balance. You know what I mean? And so it has to show up in every aspect of our life. You know what I mean? Doing things in a balanced way, living in a balanced way, not going to extremes with nothing. Okay, yeah, you might smoke marijuana. You know what I'm saying? I ain't even gonna use marijuana. I ain't gonna use that as an example. You might drink a little bit, but you don't want to drink that get, you know what I mean, out of your mind. You just want to drink in a balanced way to where you can feel good and you can still be operational. You don't want to be sloppy drunk to where you get out here on the road and you kill somebody. You know what I'm saying? Like, just doing things in a balanced way, man. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Everything is about that. It shows up in every aspect of your life. Of course, you know, like, we can't get away from it. We can't get away from it.
Nah, not at all. And that reminds me, what was I gonna say? I'm gonna go back to that question, but I want to ask you, moving on. Right now, there's a lot going on. There's a whole lot going on. With the situation, got a lot of people quarantined, sitting at
Yeah,
home. There's a virus going around or whatever. A lot is changing in the world. Some people are worried about life changing, freedoms being taken away. Some people are worried
yeah,
about dastardly plans that kind of are trying to take away from the spiritual and sovereignty of the spirituality and sovereignty of every individual. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot
yeah,
going on, a whole lot of fears. We talked
yeah,
about spiritual development, spiritual balance, responsibility, but a lot of people can't even think past or look past like this summer. Like, they don't know what life's about to be like. They got a whole lot of
yeah,
fear, a whole lot of dread. A
yeah,
lot of people in these mind states right now.
yeah.
What's your advice to the average individual that might be listening to this right now? Like, why is stuff like this going on in the world, and like, what should we be doing? What should we be thinking about in these times? And what do you think is going on?
Well, this is how I look at it. This is how I think. On this, it's perfect that this question came the way that it came because we're just talking about life being a balance. So if we see all of these things that bring about fear into people, into society, we see all of these things going on that promotes that. At the same time, do you not see the good that's going on? Like me, I'm focused on the good that's going on because just as much as fear-based things are going on the opposite side of that, things of love is going on too. Like, I focus on those things. That, like, this is my reality. Like life is about polarities. Like, I don't have to find myself lost in that perception of things. Like, I'm focused on this over here in my world. And the more people that can focus on the good and the more people that can come together that can see the good and can see, you know what I mean, the hate and the fear that's going on over here, like, we can create a whole nother reality that's opposite of that. So my goal is connecting with people that are on that opposite vibration. You know what I'm saying? That's my thing. You know what I mean? Like, yo, like, I don't have to promote that because the only thing they're trying to do is to put it at an imbalance to where more people are on this aspect or extreme of what's going on in this reality, and people are not even focused on this aspect of it too, the good that's going on here. Like the good that you doing, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like the good that you are doing here. Like, I'm focused on you. You know what I mean? How can we build? How can we come together? How can we create more of this good? How can we balance it? How can we bring the energy this way? You know what I'm saying? It's people like me and you and your listeners all over that we're like we everywhere. We just have to connect. We just have to connect. That's why I'm so grateful that you reached out, bro. You know what I'm saying? Because we can create our own reality. Nothing can prevent us from doing that. This is a reality of duality. Like, we can create, like, let's get on this side of it. Let's get on this side of it. You know what I mean? Let's bring the energy over here. Let's experience what we experience over here. Like, during this whole pandemic thing when everybody was staying away from everybody, scared to go around other people, me and my wife had a celebration at our home. We had drumming, like a bonfire. We did drumming. We invited people over. African dancing going on. We had sacred medicine out here. Everybody that left that celebration that night, man, left that celebration feeling so elevated, so empowered. That was medicine. That was medicine for them. You know what I'm saying? Everybody left with medicine, bro. You know what I'm saying? From coming together, not being apart, from coming together. Feeling good boosts your immune system. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's other things that boost your immune system that don't have to do with anything that you physically eat or put into your body. It's a vibration that you can tap into that does that. From coming together with people that you know care about you and love you, bro. You know what I'm saying? So that's what my thing is connecting with people, the right people, people like you and others like us everywhere. You know, like we need to be coming together. Like that's the medicine. That's the real medicine. They try to make us be apart, but the medicine is in the right people coming together. That's what our medicine is. Coming together with the right people. It produces a medicine, bro. It produces a healing, energy that's projected out into the universe that's going to combat this. Like, we have to do our part. We just can't lay down, bro, and just accept that. Like, we have to show you that opposite extreme. It exists. It exists. And so they're trying to scare people to be away from one another. Even in the Bible, it says, where two or more come together in agreement, who is in the midst? God. God. Now, what about a whole tribe of people coming together in agreement? Who are we awakening? God. What are we emitting out into this universe? God, love, all the things that come with the vibration of God. This is how we combat that, bro. You know what I'm saying? By connecting with like-minded people, doing the work that we know that we should be doing together, the same way these people are doing the work that they doing. It's the work that they doing to get people to be in fear and afraid to come around each other. That's their work. What about our work as people like me and you? Are we doing our work? Are we too afraid to do our work? Because they don't have no fear. They don't have no fear. I don't have no fear of coming together with someone that I know love me. You know what I'm saying? That I know that I'm in agreement with. That's when you tap into the power that we're supposed to be tapping into, that they are afraid of us tapping into, so they promote a society that try to keep us separate. You know what I'm saying? Because they know what dwells inside of us. And they know whenever we come together in agreement, what's going to awaken inside of us. You know what I'm saying? We have to know that, bro. So we can do what we supposed to be doing, not being in fear, not staying away from each other. Man, that's crazy. That's crazy. You know what I'm saying? And so this is how I'm combating that, bro. By uniting with like-minded people, coming together, doing what we know to do whenever we're together. The work that we know that we're supposed to be doing whenever we're together, that's going to bring healing into this world. You know what I'm saying? We can't just sit back and just allow all of this chaos to run crazy, because that'll be like, that's like, we can't do that. Like, where are the people that see things differently? Everybody can't be seeing life like this. Everybody can't be in fear. Everybody can't be believing what they're trying to cause everybody to believe. Where are the people that see it in the opposite way? Because we need to be connecting and linking up, because we got a work to do. We have a work to do. So that's how I see that, family.
Absolutely, absolutely. I want to ask you. So, we talked about a lot so far. I want to ask you, what practices and what services do you offer to anybody that's interested, or like just contacting you, working with you?
Okay.
What kind of things do you offer?
Well, me and my wife, you know what I'm saying? Like, we have a mentorship program. It's called the Etheric Touch. You know what I'm saying? So that the etheric, that's really just saying spiritual power. You know what I mean? It's a program of mentorship. It's got like 100 students in it right now, and it's just dealing with the first level is 3 different levels of this program. Okay, here go my wife right here. Peace. It has like 3 different main components to the mentorship program. The first level of it is self self love, like and so we like go into like like how important it is to love yourself, and what type of things that should be happening in a person's life that love themselves. Like, how do you eat? Like, what time? Like, how are you being nurturing and loving to your own self? It's called self-care. How you're taking care of yourself, because the way that you take care of yourself is going to reflect in your life. It's going to reflect in your life. So the more loving you are to yourself, the more kind you are to yourself. And a lot to do with that feminine principle. The beautiful things that you do for yourself. Like, how are you showing yourself that you love you? Because everything else is going to be a reflection of how you love yourself. everything else is going to be a reflection of that. So we really guide people into that understanding at that level of the program, and each level lasts 4 weeks. Like the self-care portion of it lasts 4 weeks, and so the next portion of it, like me and my wife, like we're real heavy into like what is called ancestral medicine, remembering those that came before us, because it's those that came before us that allow us to exist in this moment. Like whenever we understand, like you are here right now, but you are a condensation of 7 generations back on your mother's side and 7 generations back on your father's side. All of those genetics come together to manifest you right now. You know what I'm saying? As an individual, you are a totality of all of that, all of those genetics and all of those people, which winds up being 257 people if you do the math of that came before you.
Wow.
in your heritage. And so we get into, can you still see me, bro? I'm sorry.
Yeah, just cut
So
off for a second.
okay, so that's a portion of it, like remembering and honoring your ancestors. Because me and my wife, we deal with a lot of ancestral acknowledgement, what they might call ancestral worship. You know what I'm saying? Acknowledging those that I am. I am. You know, that's a part of me. You know what I'm saying? And then we get into what is known as ceremonial healing, like how to come together as people to promote healing within ourselves as individuals, and also to be able to perform healing in someone else's life, and then coming together in a communal type way to promote healing. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's a mentorship on how to heal yourself and how to heal others, and how to put that healing vibration out into the world to help this world heal as you heal yourself. So it's a journey of self-healing that becomes, you know, a way that you can help all of reality heal. And I know I'm not explaining that as well as my wife explained it. She would explain it. She would explain it much better. But I'm just trying to give you a general concept.
Okay.
It's a mentorship of self healing, bro. You know what I'm saying?
And is this
Go
something
ahead.
you offer online?
It's online.
Okay.
It's online. It's called. You can find out the information. Like, you know, I'm on Facebook through my name on Facebook is Conjure Ifakunle. My wife's name, I would like to put that out there. Her name is the Enchantress on Facebook. And so, like, you can befriend either one of us, and like whenever you are our friend, you will be very aware of what's going on within this mentorship, because we promote it on all of our pages. You can inbox us or just send us messages if you're interested in this mentorship. A lot comes out of it, bro. A lot of healing is going on in people's lives within this program, and we are proud of that because of the impact that we're having in life. You know what I'm saying? The way that we're impacting life, man, it's a lot of healing going on within this program. So anybody that's on that journey of self-healing and wanting to understand what it means to truly heal, and wanting to understand how can I play my part in helping society heal, or this universe, or Mother Nature heal, this universe heal, like, we go into all of that, bro. You know what I mean? We go into all of that. So it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing.
All right. So if anybody that's interested in this mentorship and this these classes in self healing with Ifakunle, can reach out to him on Facebook. Him or his wife, the Enchantress, is her name on Facebook. And this is something that's bona fide. Like, I definitely vouch for.
Thank you, bro.
Everything he's talking about. I know that he's coming from your pure and righteous place, and definitely he's doing the service. So I know that it's something that's worthwhile.
You doing the service too.
Hey.
You're we reflections of one another. That's why
Absolutely.
we link, bro.
Absolutely.
Reflections, family.
I knew as soon as I reached out to you, I was like, I know that this is gonna be potent. Like, this is gonna be like what the most important joint I do. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I got you, man. I thank you, man. I thank you. And you know, like, I know I might not have been as, you know, maybe as articulate as I needed to be, but I just hope y'all can feel my spirit and feel my energy. Like, that's what's the most important, because a lot of times it's hard to express those things and like in words. And like, this is the first you know, like, interview or podcast that I did on my own. Like, normally my wife be sitting right here beside me, so I know it was a little bit of nervousness there and things like that. You know what I'm saying? Because this being my first time really being interviewed in this kind of way. You know what I'm saying? So I just want to say that, because I know I could have been a lot more smooth or articulate, but I just hope everybody just feel my spirit. You know what I'm saying?
Now, every word was like, I just would say, as you can see, I'm sitting there just listening, because it's
Yeah,
like I don't need to say nothing because everything I'm thinking, you saying it, and I'm just
I
glad it's
got
being said. I'm
you. I
glad
got
that we have this platform. But I want, if you have a little more time, I want to ask you a couple more questions.
you. Okay, go ahead.
All right. So I want to ask you two things. One,
Go ahead.
so we know that everybody knows they could reach out to you for this mentorship and for this program.
Yeah.
But once again, speaking to the people that's dealing with lack of faith, dealing with being lost, dealing with not understanding these practices that exist. Maybe they come up in a more traditional religious background or a more traditional whatever kind of background, and it's like, what are some practices that people could get into right off the bat, like whether it's ancestor work, whether it's self love, or what are some things that people could do like tonight to just start taking steps into uh finding
Okay.
themselves, you know what I mean? Like, is there a practice, is there something that you'd recommend, like writing something down? Like, what would you recommend
I
somebody
would
do like
start off,
tonight?
yeah, like things that like yo like just understanding like me, like I would say like understanding like how valuable you are. Like I would start off with just things like like me like affirmations. You know what I'm saying? Like yo like an affirmation like that I do often is like every day and every way I'm getting better and better. Like it don't matter like where you're at right now, but you're putting that energy out every day and every way. I'm getting better and better. Like we're just repeating that affirmation over yourself every day and every way. I'm getting better and better. You know what I mean? Just begin the journey like in simple ways like that. In simple ways like that, when you are acknowledging, okay, like I might be in this condition right now, but my life is getting ready to get better. I might don't understand the things that I need to understand in this moment, but I know that I will understand the things that I need to understand as I move forward on this journey. Just acknowledging the fact that that you are even on the journey, and just that energy to want to begin it. Like that's healing in itself right there. I'm getting ready to begin this journey. Like I'm getting ready to begin the journey of really understanding the healing that I need as an individual. That just that acknowledgement already opens up like a person, like to let that healing energy in their life. You know what I mean? Just that desire of wanting to heal, like in the moment right now. Like my life is getting ready to get better in every way. Like just taking that stance. If you haven't taken that stance yet, just by and through taking that stance, so I would advise people just to make that commitment to take that stance of wanting to heal, like wanting to understand, wanting to be better, wanting to grow, wanting to develop. Like make that stand in your life, and just see how the universe responds to that. You know what I mean? Like making our minds up, because nothing can happen until we make our minds up. So that's a great thing that can happen. Like we need to start making and stop bouncing back and forth about it. Take a stand and make your mind up. You know what I mean? And a tool that, hopefully, man, we can come together and we can do this in, because there's different
That's a
practices and
fact. I
things
got you.
that I want to share. I know we didn't use a lot of our time of just getting to know one another. You know what I'm saying? But I would love for you to invite me back so it can be less talking. You know what I'm saying? And we can get into practitionership of things, how to tap into things, how to develop yourself
Yeah.
beyond the information that you know, because a person can have a bunch of information in their head, but if you don't understand how to turn that into the wisdom of experiencing what you know, making it a reality, you know what I'm saying, in your life, feeling, you know what I mean, spiritual power, like feeling your consciousness expand, like these things that we can go into, man, that'll make this knowledge wisdom through experience. You know what I'm saying? And so hopefully we can do this again. You know what I mean? So we
Yeah.
can give some time to that, bro. I would love to do that with you, man. You know what I'm saying?
And that brings me to the last thing I want to ask you. And maybe you don't have time. I understand, because
No, go ahead.
I
Go
really
ahead.
respect and appreciate all your time, man.
Go
Thank
ahead.
you so much. I just
Oh,
want to
no,
ask
thank
you,
you.
and you could come back for this if you want, because I would love to have you back. I love to have you and your wife, and like for us to learn
Next
more
time,
about.
yeah, I'll bring my
Yeah,
wife back.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Because I'll bring mine too, because I'm sure she got questions as well.
Okay.
But I wanted to ask you, do you have anything that you could share with us, like a practice or anything like that?
A breathing technique that's very simple. You know what I'm saying? And the reason why I will start off with the breathing technique is because this is the breath of life. It says in the beginning that God breathed the breath of in the man's nostrils, and man became a living soul. And the reason why that's very important, because the average person breathes so shallow. They say the average person breathes around 18 breaths a minute. And when you break that 18 breaths down a minute, you get 666. Historically, that's known as the beast breath. A person that's breathing that shallow, that's not aware of the importance of bringing that breath in fully, is living very animalistic. And that's why it's called the beast breath, because it puts you into only body consciousness. You know what I'm saying? So the slower and the more fuller that you bring that breath into your life, the more alive you become. The issue is the reason why people are living so animalistic is because they're not bringing the fullness of the breath of life into their body to be fully alive. So people are really around here partly living because they're not breathing deep enough to be fully alive. And they're breathing so shallow, they haven't activated the fullness of themselves. And so a simple breathing technique that I will start off right now, that is called, it's called the 636 breathing technique. And how this technique goes, you'll breathe in for a count of 6, you will hold that breath for a count of 3, you will exhale that breath for a count of 6, and then you will hold again for a count of 3. So it's 6, 3, 6, and then 6 plus 6. That is like 19, almost 20. Like whenever you do that breath, 3 times. Like if you go through that rhythm of breathing through that count 3 times, and that gets the breath down to like 3 breaths a minute versus that 18 breaths a minute. That makes a person identify with the animalistic aspect of themselves. But when you can get that breath down to around 4 or 3 breaths a minute, that's when you start tuning into that divine counterpart that we are, that raise you up out of being that animal. You know what I'm saying? Because it cuts the breath down. By the time you go through 6, 3, 6, 3 times, that's 3. That cuts you down to like 3 breaths a minute. By the time you get through that whole cycle of breathing in for a count of 6, holding for a count of 3, exhale for a count of 6, holding for a count of 3. By the time you did that 3 times, that's 60 seconds. That's around about 60 seconds. So you have cut that 18 breaths down to 3 breaths or 3 cycles of breathing instead of that 18 breaths. That puts you at the animal all the way down to 3 breaths within a minute, which taps you into that divine spiritual aspect of who it is that you are versus that animal. And I hope that I explained that clearly enough.
Nah, I believe you did. I'm gonna adapt that myself, because I know that breathing. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
It's the breath of life, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so we have to learn to bring the breath fully into our body to be fully alive. They say that upon the average person's death, they said that the lungs has the capacity to hold like 7 pints of air or something like that of oxygen, but the average person is only bringing in 3. You like utilizing 3 pints versus the 7 that the lungs has the capacity to use. So they say a portion of most people's lungs does not even get utilized. Don't even get utilized because they're not breathing deep enough. And this is the breath of life. So we have to understand how important it is to bring this breath fully into the body so we can be fully alive. You know what I'm saying? And not being mostly animal.
And we gotta have you back on, because like that brings up a whole nother thing, like
man, we got to go in, bring me back. I'm gonna have my wife with me.
That would be amazing. But it's like the brain, the whole body. They say that we have so much capability to heal ourselves, to live longer, to do so much more that we don't do, because we just not utilizing what we have right here. You know what I mean?
Exactly. We're not like you said, the brain. Like they say, how we only use a portion of that. And just understanding the brain, there's so much we're gonna go into, like the different levels of the brain, like the limbic portion or the reptilian portion of the brain. The reptilian portion of the brain, what they call the R complex, and then you get into the limbic system of the brain, and then you get into the frontal lobe. But most people are only operating from that reptilian portion of the brain and the limbic portion of the brain, and they never get to that frontal lobe of the brain, which deals with what it means to be a human. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It just shows up in so many different ways and how much healing needs to be done, and there's so many things we can talk and build about, bro.
Yeah, we gotta do this periodically or something.
I'm with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm with it. I'm with it, family.
Hey,
You know what I'm saying?
Ifakunle, I appreciate you like to such an extent, man. I can't even say, man. This is so dope. I'm so excited for the minds that might be uplifted or informed by listening to this. This is gonna be up on YouTube,
Okay.
youtube.com/activated tomorrow. So at that point, it's gonna be available on Facebook now, but it's gonna be on YouTube, like for whoever wants to access it. And I would love to talk with you again, man. I know that
Whenever you're ready.
just for anybody that might have missed it, Ifakunle, he has classes in a whole self development class.
Yeah,
Which
self-development. Yes.
and so you need to reach out to him. It's Conjure space Ifakunle, Ifakunle on Facebook,
Yeah.
or his wife, the Enchantress, on Facebook. You can reach out to them. I definitely recommend and vouch that anybody gets involved with this and gets involved with them, just reaches out to them, follows them. Just by following his posts, I've been uplifted. I've gained a lot just by connecting with you. And I'm be real, like I just saw your name. And I was just like, yo, let me click on the friends, because I only got on this account. I only got like 500 friends or something like that. You know, it's not like I'm not clicking on everybody, but I was like, let me click on this guy.
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
That's a feeling.
Man.
I'm so glad I did, man. I'm so glad to connect with you.
Yeah.
It's an absolute blessing.
Man, I'm thankful that you reached out. Like I say, like we're a reflection on one another, man. And I just don't want this to be a one-time thing. Let's see what we can do together, man. Let's build. Like, let's see what roles we can play in helping this world be a better place, man. Like nothing is no coincidence, family.
And just like you said, we in this whole COVID situation or whatever, and it's like, wow, look what we could cultivate and create in the midst of this.
That's right.
And that's what it's
in
about.
The midst
just
of
like
this,
you said.
that's what it's about, man. You know what I'm saying? So whenever you need me, bro, whenever you feel like the time is right for what you got going on, let me know, and we're gonna make it work. I look forward to coming back on your show and just continuing this journey together with you, family.
That's a fact, and much respect. I appreciate you.
Much respect.
Have a good one, and we'll talk soon.
Peace, family.
All right, appreciate you, man. Have a good one.
Appreciate you. You too, bro.
Blessings.
Peace. Blessings.
Yeah, everybody, yo, that was amazing. I'm gonna leave you guys with a song, man. And yo, another episode of Herm Radio, man. I gotta think about everything that was that we just talked about, because that was deep, man. This Herm Radio thing's getting dope. Yo, once again, Conjure Ifakunle, Ifakunle. Check them out. I'm gonna leave y'all with a song. Everybody have a good one. Stay blessed.
Yeah, every once in a while I just gotta write a song like this, you know. You lost somebody, it's gonna be alright. At the end of the road, it's gonna be alright. Got no friends in the home, it's gonna be alright. You ain't never alone, he can see all sights. Man, you might feel like it's the end of the road, like you ain't got nowhere to go, but you best believe that there's a way, man. There's a plan for you. All prayers get answered when it's time for it. The strong lead the blind for it. Close your eyes, hear them lines roar. What I write on lines like Zion form. Feeling high, this my kind of form. All this behind this dome, and I peep the signs that define my origin. I came here to war with sin, and what's the definition? Not taking steps forward towards the blessings given. This beat is like an exorcism. True evil isn't pessimism. To be good is accept as living. I shut the rhythms, put the message in them. Getting better with the repetition. Seen pain in so many forms. Bodies lying in the cold, there's too many norm. Drinking heady in enormous portions without any caution. Nobody grinding in too many flosses. So many lost in their lives. It's exhausting, see the course in their eyes. Somebody, it's gonna be alright. At the end of the road, it's gonna be alright. Got no friends in the home, it's gonna be alright. You ain't never alone, he can see all sights. Man, you gotta look out for yourself, make your own way in this life. But best believe, man, you gotta protect and take care of your brother and your sister, man. It's so important, bro. I lost a few that I love, and they truly above. Not a place in the clouds, but assuming it was. It's like they all looking down, and they view as we move on. All grudges are removed as the night gives a new dawn. Or you a pawn or you king. Your word is your poem, you spoke and I heard you. I hope I got a 30 on her. In my heart, the murder, the drama. I let it all go. That's word to my mama. Every time I forgive, I am set free. The key was never trying to live, so you accept me. The ups and downs, I ride the waves like a jet ski. I will never be a slave till my breath leave. Sacrifice is solitude. A lot of days without a lot of food. What got you through? How you make it happen when you're not in the mood? I had to take mine, sometimes you gotta be rude. You lost somebody, it's gonna be alright. At the end of the road, it's gonna be alright. Got no friends in the home, it's gonna be alright. You ain't never alone, he can see all sights. Man, you gotta be grateful for what you have. Whatever it is, you gotta find the good in that. You gotta find the use in that. And just be thankful. I came up treated like a villain. Beat him in the hill, beat him in the hill. Became stuck, freedom from the feeling. See, there is no ceiling, see, there is no ceiling, yo. This game suck, even in the stealing. Greedy know the killing, greedy know the killing, yo. Let's change up, speaking in the brilliant. To the eager and the willing, the eager and the willing, yo. You lost somebody, it's gonna be alright. At the end of the road, it's gonna be alright. Got no friends in the home, it's gonna be alright. You ain't never alone, he can see all sights. Man, everything I am is due to the blessings I was given. Those that looked out for me, showed me guidance. It's forever.